located in McDonald.
Hey, everybody. Paul Ihander from 99.9 The Fan for FanDuel. The NBA is back, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, wants you to catch all the action. Right now, FanDuel is giving everyone 3 months of NBA League Pass. All you have to do to catch every tip-off and buzzer beater is place any $5 bet on the NBA to get 3 months of NBA League Pass courtesy of FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/Paul. Again, FanDuel.com/Paul, and make every moment more this season. Dunks, three-pointers, alley-oops, you know what I'm talking about. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. After 3-month free trial, the full price of League Pass will be automatically charged monthly. Cancel anytime. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Limit 1 pass per customer. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Whether it's the future of college football or my love for the Ryder Cup, it's all found in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
Good morning, students!
Cartoon Network wants you to start your day off right
by speaking up
against bullying.
People can be bullied for all kinds of things.
Who they are, where they're from, what they look like, or what they believe.
That's called identity-based bullying. If you see a student being bullied, be supportive.
Ask if they're okay and invite them to join you. You can be an ally
and make a friend.
Friendship!
Visit StopBullyingSpeakUp.com
and redraw your world without bullying.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to the Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Bases loaded, 2 down, bottom of the 3rd. Here's the pitch. Swing and a ball drilled, left field. Hernandez back, gone! Grand slam, Anthony Volpe over the left field wall. And Yankee Stadium explodes. It's 5-2 New York.
And a pleasant good afternoon to you. I am Adam Gold. This is the Adam Gold Show. Victoria is here.
On a Chip Patterson Wednesday.
It is a Chip Patterson Wednesday. You guys can work out whatever your differences are.
I haven't banned Wednesdays because of Chip.
So
it's quite the opposite.
Exactly. So I got what I wanted. I got a Game 5.
Yes.
Another day to watch baseball.
I know, and you got your Freddie Freeman home run, too.
It's free money, people.
It really is.
Plus 630 in Game 3. I told you. Plus 600. I haven't looked today.
I don't know. But if it's just plus anything.
Take what they're giving you.
Yeah.
Just take what they're giving you.
Did you see the fan that had the sign that said, "Please stop Freddie"? Like it was a Yankees fan and it said, "Please stop Freddie."
I mean, it didn't help the Dodgers last night. It got them out to a lead because it was a first inning to run.
Yeah.
Big shot from Anthony Volpe. We'll talk about the Game 4, and we'll get into Game 5 because, of course, there's major controversy from Game 4. It's not controversy, and I don't even know why it's a debate. We'll talk about the fan interference coming up in a little bit. I have also one other thing I want to get to today. These are done on a daily basis in the NHL. I think it's Money Puck. Every day will put out their projected standings. Do you know who Money Puck projects to have the best record in the NHL right now?
Ooh, have they joined the Canes bandwagon with Vegas from last year?
Yeah, but Vegas does it in a different way.
Yes.
Right? But Money Puck right now has the Hurricanes
nice.
projected to have the best record in the NHL. Do I believe that they will? No. I don't.
No.
Do I believe that they are a top 5-ish team? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Again, regular season and playoff hockey can be very different. A lot of the elements that you utilize in the regular season don't necessarily, it's not that they don't work, it's just the margins are finer in the postseason. It's more about, having a couple of bona fide big-time goal scorers, some depth pieces that can contribute at that level, and amazing goaltending. And over the last several years, the Hurricanes, while the goal scoring hasn't always been an issue, the goaltending has generally been. They got out-goaltended by the Rangers last year in the playoffs. They got out-goaltended by the Panthers the previous year when they exited. I mean, they got Shesterkin 2 out of the last 3 years. They got Bobrovsky in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And while Vasilevsky was the previous year, it was more about Carolina's goaltending just being poor in that series than it was anything else. Because the margins were, like, if you watch the games, Tampa wasn't, like, in terms of their team, Tampa wasn't that much, if at all, better than Carolina in the crazy pandemic central year. But Nedeljkovic was not. Mrazek, who played one really good game and then melted down in the middle of game, I guess it was 4, he was not. But there wasn't a lot separating these two teams, just like there wasn't a lot separating as a team the Rangers and the Hurricanes. But during the regular season, when you've got 82 games and it's just different. Yeah, I think the Hurricanes are going to have a great regular season, and they'll probably go into the playoffs. I think there's no doubt in my mind they're going to be one of the top 3 teams in the Metro. They could win the division.
Much different from what people were saying before we started the season.
Completely different. There was a lot of pessimism about the Hurricanes. Our friend Greg Wyshynski, and I'm not blaming him for doing this, by the way. Our friend Greg Wyshynski from ESPN picked the Hurricanes to miss the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, I thought one of the easier bets was Hurricanes was at 100.5 points. 100.5 was the total in Vegas.
Okay. Yeah.
The Rangers were only 101.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think Hurricanes are going to push 105, something like that, 106. No, I think the Rangers are going to be more, but that's fine. A lot to do. So we should start talking about everybody's favorite punching bag. So I've thought more about the trade. Diontae Johnson getting traded from the Panthers to the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take just a little bit of a step back and start the story somewhere else. Every once in a while, teams win. Good organizations, however, win consistently. And I will bring up, like, the Pirates and the Rays in baseball. In the modern Major League Baseball, Pirates and the Rays. They're basically in the same level in terms of revenue, fan support, even though if Pittsburgh put a better team on the field, they'd get significantly more fan support than Tampa. But basically, in terms of revenue that they bring in, about at the same level. One is successful, the other is not. I'll even change it. I'll go the Rays versus the White Sox. Think about this. I guess I could do the Cubs too, right? But the Rays and the White Sox, because I did the figuring out here, I did the math on this. The White Sox, who are, I don't know if you know this, in Chicago.
Yes.
I've heard Chicago's a fairly big American city.
It is.
Wealth, all of that. Mm-hmm. Somehow, the White Sox have like zero success over basically the last 2 decades.
Right.
So, since winning the World Series in 2005, okay, they won the World Series. Back-to-back years. Red Sox won. They hadn't won since 1986, yeah. Or in 86 years. I think it's 1918 was the last time the Red Sox won the World Series. And then in 2005, the White Sox, who hadn't won since like before then, the White Sox won the World Series back-to-back years. The White Sox, since then, have made the playoffs in a full 162-game season twice. They averaged 74 wins a year in that span. The Rays had two stretches of at least 92 wins per year for 6 years.
Right.
The Rays, with no money.
None.
With pockets empty.
Have no ceiling now either.
Right now they have no roof,
Yeah, right.
which is Major League Baseball is giving them to like Christmas to figure out what they're going to do. Seriously. So it's all about organizations, okay? Any team can win 1 year. Only good organizations win over time. We see this in every sport. Doesn't matter. So, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers now.
Yikes.
Because they fall into the category of the White Sox to an extent. In the NFL, it doesn't really matter where you are because of the way they share national. There's no local money, really. It's all national money. So it's the bulk of the money is shared. Now, don't let it fool you. The wealthier teams, the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the 49ers, they do have some advantages in terms of where they are, how much money they can charge for suites and all of that. And even though some of that is supposed to go into the fund of shared revenue, there are ways, because Jerry Jones has figured it out, that the wealthier teams can keep a little bit more of that money. So it's not all money is shared. It's not total socialism in the NFL, but it's close. So it really does, for the most part, come down to how good is your organization, which is why Dallas doesn't win anything. Why Green Bay wins, Dallas doesn't. Why New England or Kansas City wins, Dallas doesn't. The Giants don't. The Jets don't.
Baltimore hasn't been.
Yeah, but they have been consistently good every year.
Consistently good. They just can't.
They haven't gotten over
the Super Bowl.
Right. They haven't gotten it over the hump and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they are consistently good, and that's what we're talking about. Hey, Super Bowl championships are a different animal, but I'm talking about year in and year out. You're good. I mean, that's Baltimore. Okay, and by the way, this came out in they would fall into the Rays category here, as opposed to the White Sox category. So, here's where the Panthers completely screwed up the Diontae Johnson trade. Because when you take a step back and you look at it even deeper, it boggles the mind that they made this trade, the Panthers. I have been advocating trading Diontae Johnson. I got no problem with trading Diontae Johnson. They should. They're not going to re-sign him in the offseason. They should trade him. Get what they can for him. But the trade that they made is comically bad for them. I don't understand why they made this trade. So, and again, I'm all about trading assets, and we're going to get into some other assets in a second. So the trade is Diontae Johnson, plus a 6th-round pick, their 6th-round pick, which figures to be probably the first pick in the 6th round, to Baltimore for their 5th round pick, which figures to be relatively late in the 5th round. Let's just say they don't win the Super Bowl. They have the 27th pick in the draft. Whatever it is, okay? They pick 27th. And the Panthers pick 1st in the draft, right? So last year there were 9 compensatory picks after the 5th round. So the difference between that pick in the 5th round at number 163 and where the Panthers would have picked is 177. That's what they're doing. That's the trade they made. They moved up 15 spots in the draft, and by the way, that number could be smaller if Baltimore were to win the Super Bowl, right? So that number would be smaller. If there are not 9 compensatory picks, that number could be smaller. On top of that, they paid most of the salary. So the Ravens aren't even picking up all of Diontae Johnson's remaining salary. So Carolina gave them money and a player, all to move up roughly 15 spots in the middle of day 3. All right, now is my question. Because we talked about this yesterday. You're going to get the exact same player, not a similar type of player. The chances is that you are getting the same player at number 163 and number 177. The person that you have circled, Tony Soprano, an edge rusher from Ball State that you would have taken at 177 or 163, is there at the other pick. Same guy.
Yeah.
So it's an unnecessary trade to begin with. But do you know what would have happened if you simply kept Diontae Johnson and let him walk into free agency at the end of the season? I'll ask you this question, Victoria. What happens if Diontae Johnson walks into free agency and you let him go? What happens?
Well, I mean, we'd come out better on our end at least.
Well, you don't have to pay the salary.
Exactly.
But you know what? What really happens is that you get a compensatory pick for Diontae Johnson walking away from your team. As long as he signs a contract that's worth at least $5 million, you would have gotten a 5th rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So think about this for a second. You gave Diontae Johnson plus a 6th round pick to Baltimore. You get their 5th. You moved up 15 spots. From Baltimore's perspective, if they don't re-sign Diontae Johnson, they are getting Diontae Johnson and a 6th round pick for free.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
It is mind-blowing how dumb they are. Here's the thing. Could you see Diontae Johnson getting a Gabe Davis-type contract? Gabe Davis was the 2nd wide receiver for Buffalo.
Right.
He signed a $13 million contract with Houston. If Diontae Johnson has a good second half of the year with the Ravens and somebody signs him to a $14 million year, 1-year contract for $14 million to be their number 2 wide receiver, you get a 4th rounder in compensation.
I know. That's what I said yesterday. Panthers keep doing dumb things. It's garbage. Panthers be panthering.
I can't for the life of me understand why you did. Why did you do a favor for the Ravens?
I know.
You didn't get yourself better. All you did was move up 15 spots in the draft, and you're still, if you're going to do that, you can't pay him.
Yeah. We don't even have Scott Fitterer here to blame him anymore. That's what frustrates me, too, about this is we're supposed to be better now. We're supposed to do smarter things. What are we doing? It's always something with this team.
There's no possible way that I should care more about this than they do.
Yeah. I mean, we could make better decisions for them and not be on their payroll. but I don't know.
It's just like there must be something I'm missing here.
Well, yes.
Because I don't understand why they would make this trade. It's a net negative for them. They would be much better served letting Diontae Johnson walk into free agency, because they would then have their 6th and another 5th.
Yeah. I don't know if there was something behind the scenes that we don't know about, because none of this makes sense, so it feels like there's got to be something else behind the scenes.
Tim Donnelly walked in here. Tim does the show after us. Every once in a while we drag him into the studio to talk football with us. So Tim walked in, and he was like, I don't understand why they made this trade. And I'm like, the only thing I could think of, because they didn't get anything for it, was that they were afraid that Diontae Johnson, who wants out probably, might become a problem if they didn't, send him somewhere so he could play for a good football team, a professional football team. And I don't know if people took that as there is a problem, but apparently I saw some stuff on Twitter like, who says Diontae Johnson's a headache? I don't know what happens if Diontae Johnson sticks around after the trade deadline. Does he become a problem? Does he say, you know what, I'm going to consider my future. I ain't going to play any more games for you, which I wouldn't blame him. I don't think he would do that. But we have heard nothing behind the scenes to say that Diontae Johnson is a problem.
Yeah.
Everything that we have heard would be the opposite of that, that he is a net positive in that locker room. So there's no explanation for why they make this trade.
And it's just all suspicious, too, because he had this supposed, rib injury or something.
Right.
So why would he be worth anything right now?
He got hurt out of nowhere.
Exactly. So it makes no sense whatsoever. You do all of this maneuvering to bring him in for, quote, Bryce to help him look better. And then now we're not trying to make Bryce look better, and we're getting rid of him.
Well,
what? It's just a mess. I wish there was a word. Well, there are words, but
yeah, there are. They're actively trying to make Bryce look worse, and they're succeeding. So congratulations to diminish his trade value, which is next to nothing now anyway.
Right.
They'll be fortunate to get what the Jets got for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, by the way, looked like a better NFL quarterback right now than Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Jets got either a 6th or a 7th round pick from Denver. He had played 2 full seasons in the league.
Yeah.
The Jets got rid of him. So that's what we're going to see with Bryce Young. The Panthers will move him this offseason, and he'll bring them back a 7th round pick.
Exactly.
A complete disaster.
I'm sure they'll go for another quarterback that won't fit in well for the team. And
I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I would not draft a quarterback, but I wouldn't have done what they did, and I would not draft a quarterback in this draft.
Let's just predict what the dumbest thing to do is, and that's what they'll do.
Very good point. I just don't understand, and you're paying most of the contract. All right, Jeff Saturday from ESPN on what the Ravens are getting in Diontae Johnson.
Yeah, I like it, right? Understands the division, understands what he has to get done. I think for the Ravens, it just gives them a fallback guy, right? I don't think he's going to be, Zay Flowers is still going to be their guy. Bateman's been making some plays. You got Likely and Andrews. Aguilar made some plays for him. But if somebody happens to go down, tweaks, injuries, it's a long season. We understand that. I think they just understanding his familiarity with the division and the push the Ravens are going to have to make. They're going to have to score points. We usually talk about the Ravens of being this smothering defense that locks people down. The Ravens understand their path to the Super Bowl is going to be offensively, and that's riding Lamar Jackson and the hot hand he carries. So as many weapons as you can get him, the better off you'll be.
See, they're not even looking at Diontae Johnson as a major piece. Maybe I'm completely overrating Diontae Johnson, and that's very possible. I am not arguing against that at all. I'm also allowing for there must be something here I'm missing about how the whole thing works.
Yeah.
Because on its surface, it looks like the Panthers actively made a deal that works out against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as my a good friend of mine has just texted to me, this literally is Major League.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It is.
Right? How can we make our organization, our team, worse?
Right.
How can we do that? I don't expect that that's the case on Mint Street.
Yeah.
But it appears that they are actively trying.
It's questionable.
So.
The fact that we're competing with the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets right now on who is the clowniest of teams, I don't know how we can.
I've used this analogy, which also works just like the Major League analogy. If you are familiar with the plot of the movie The Producers, they are trying to make a Broadway show that flops.
Okay.
Trying.
Yes.
The whole premise is it's a musical around Nazi Germany.
Okay.
They're trying to make a show that flops for insurance purposes.
Mm-hmm.
It ends up being a big hit. but that's the beauty of Mel Brooks, I guess. Anyway, that's what I believe. It just appears. That's what the Panthers are doing.
At least.
All right, now one more thing. I was going to get into World Series game 4, but we'll do that in a little bit. So I put this on Twitter yesterday. If I were the Panthers, I'm making a list of my assets. And although I shouldn't trust them to do this correctly, because we've already seen what they've already done, but I am making a list of my assets, and I am offering all of them to other teams. I don't care who it is. And I will even put Derek Brown on that list coming off of an injury. I don't know what you're going to get for him. I mean, I'm not saying you'd get something for him. You'd get something probably pretty good because he is that good of a player. You wouldn't get what you would get if he were healthy. J.C. Horn is absolutely a trade piece for me if I am the Panthers. And don't talk to me about, well, he's your best defensive player. He's got these many passes defended. And yeah, he's got 9 passes defended because nobody is really afraid to throw at him. He is a good cornerback. He is a good starting cornerback, but he is not one of those guys. He's just not. He's a good player. I'm not saying I wouldn't want him. The Panthers have already picked up his 5th-year option for next year. It's $12.475 million. Because he is signed for next year, and he is a good cornerback. He might even be a top half of the league number 1 cornerback. Because of that, I think his value is higher come trade time. A team already has a starting cornerback they might draft. They already have that at a low number for next year. It raises the value of J.C. Horn. For that reason and that reason alone, I consider trading him. Because I think you can get a 2nd-round pick for J.C. Horn. And this team needs to have, in a 7-round draft, I would say over the next 2 seasons, this team needs a minimum of 20 draft picks. A minimum of 20 picks. Forget about quarterback. I wouldn't touch quarterback for the next 2 years. They need a minimum of 20 draft picks.
Yeah.
So I would be getting as many picks and as many of them from the 4th round up as I could get. So if J.C. Horn can get me a 2nd, I am doing it. And again, the value is there for the other team because he's got 1 more year left on his contract. And I would I don't know if I would trade Chuba Hubbard, because Chuba's not going to bring you a lot in return. And as we just showed with Diontae Johnson, because I wrote down DJ 5. Right. Now I can't stop calling him DJ Johnson.
Right.
If Hubbard signs a free agent contract with any other team and he makes $5 million on that deal for the first year, the Panthers would get a 5th-round pick in compensation. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to get at least that much as an unrestricted free agent. Personally, I think they're going to re-sign him. I think he's had a good enough year, and I think they're going to use a 2-back system and don't overrate Jonathan Brooks, who we haven't seen run carry the ball once from scrimmage yet.
Yeah.
Because he's coming off an ACL injury. We just don't know what he's going to be like.
It's worked for them in the past. Anyway,
What, the
running
tandems?
backs. Yes, of course.
Like
Stu and Williams.
Every team, unless you have a Derrick Henry or a Christian McCaffrey, who's a different running back, and then we'll use 2 running backs anyway. Every team uses 2 running backs. Anyway, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Chris Lee from WRAL TV5 and the Panthers Playbook podcast. He will express, I think, many of the same thoughts, but we'll ask him about it next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
At this point, I think it's obvious. Dave Canales and Bryce Young just don't like each other. They're 2 guys that don't trust each other. They're forced to work with each other. They didn't pick each other. But when they're forced to be on the field, one calling plays, one being the quarterback, they just don't get along. We all have that coworker. Theirs is pretty important.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
If you're like most Americans, you have a ton of credit card debt, and you're paying insane interest rates on that debt every month. Same for car loans and personal loans. Stop getting ripped off. Let Loan Pronto consolidate that debt for you at a significantly lower rate using the equity in your home. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit can get you up to $500,000 so you can consolidate your debt in as fast as 5 days. Their average client saves over $1,000 every month by doing this. Right now is the best time to act. With an Express Equity Line of Credit, you can access up to 90% of your home's equity, usually without an appraisal. Don't put it off. Get your financial house in order for the new year. Call Loan Pronto now to see what you can save. It's a free quote, and there's no credit pull, unlike those other guys. Call now, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com, 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
I'm Tiffany. I have some tips for you on how to quit smoking like I did. First, I did some reading about it. I found a lot of great advice on how to quit smoking and picked out the ways I thought would work best for me. I started by setting a quit date. Then I threw out my ashtrays, lighters, and matches. I did other things too, like exercising more, and it worked. But I'd still get cravings, especially on long car rides. To help me with that, I put a picture of my mother in my car. She died of lung cancer from smoking cigarettes when I was only 16. Now I have a 16-year-old daughter. That picture of my mother reminds me that I don't want to miss all the things my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Adam Gold here from my friend Dr. Lori Travers at Travers LASIK, and twice in the last week, people have asked me about my experience at Travers LASIK, and I have said, well, if you want 20/20 vision and you want to get rid of glasses and contacts, I think it's a great idea. 919-510-6830, TraversLASIK.com. 2-year 0-interest financing is available, about 5 minutes per eye, totally painless. 919-510-6830, Travers LASIK, see what you've been missing.
This is is Adam Gold.
Yeah, but he's real patient, like he said in his interview today.
In all other aspects of life.
Yes.
If he's in line at the drive-thru and it's taking a long time, he will not ram the car in front of him.
Exactly. Someone's pressing his shirt. He will wait 30 seconds for it to be crisper.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. One more day until we don't have a Halloween figure. There's a Santa Claus, jack-o'-lantern slides down your chimney and dumps candy all over the hearth.
Yeah, would it be the chimney? He'd be creepy through the vents or something. Maybe
it would. Probably come up through the sewers. I have no idea. That's gross. All right, so that's tomorrow, Halloween, trick or treat. It's mostly trick with the Carolina Panthers. So they traded Diontae Johnson to the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, which, hey, trading Diontae Johnson, good idea, get an asset. Of course, all they did really was move up 15 spots in next year's draft, and they're paying a good chunk of the remaining salary. It makes no sense to do what they did. Chris Lee, Panthers Playbook Podcast, WRAL TV5, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Sir, do you have any clue what they're thinking?
First off, thank you for having me. Good to hear your voice and everything. Honestly, I had to sit on this a little bit. The first 24 hours for this, it was a head scratcher for me. But as I kept thinking about it, I'm actually okay with this, just mainly because in the times I've been in the Panthers locker room and the small things I've noticed on the field.
Right.
Diontae Johnson has brought Diontae Johnson with him from Pittsburgh. Right, he's had a bad attitude. He's had some small, slight outbursts, and you have a nice core of young receivers right now: Jatavian Sanders, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker. That you want to make sure kind of gets their career started off in the right way, and you don't want somebody around that's going to kind of keep them or have them kind of start off on the wrong foot. And so, no, you didn't get a lot back from him. The money that you're paying is only for the rest of this season.
Right.
But other than that, I think it probably was something that they needed to do. And no, it wasn't a lot back. But if you look at what they did to get Diontae Johnson by trading away Dante Jackson to Pittsburgh, you kind of have to look at it okay, this is what we have for Dante Jackson now. So we're still able to have a chance to have a pick that for somebody who can potentially stay on our roster for a little bit longer in exchange for Dante Jackson, who left at the end of last year because of a trade. So I'm okay with it now that I've slept on it.
All right. They would have gotten more in return had they just let Diontae Johnson walk into free agency. Even if they had allowed Diontae Johnson to stay away from the team for the rest of the season, and Diontae Johnson signed a 5-year contract, or not a 5-year, a 1-year, $5 million contract with another team, they would have gotten a 5th-round pick in compensation, one of those compensatory picks. In terms of the actual nuts and bolts of the deal, they would have made out better than they're getting right now from Baltimore. It really made no sense what they're doing. But I allowed for this, and I mentioned the conversation earlier that I had with Tim Donnelly, who follows me on the radio in Raleigh, that moving him to me was a future move to, just in case it didn't work out, you didn't want a disgruntled player hanging around. I had not noticed any of he was necessarily a problem for them, but I mean, you're around the team a lot more than I am, so I'm never around the team. So I will absolutely, understand your point.
Yeah, and it wasn't as bad as it was in Pittsburgh. Some of the things that we had seen or heard from in Pittsburgh, I don't think he was there long enough for that, and I think he kind of knew. But when you're starting to answer questions like, I can't play all 11 positions and make plays all over the field, I'm just one guy, you're slightly throwing people under the bus right? And I could totally see a situation where if you have somebody who's just not a part of the program, just go ahead and just wash your hands clean of it. We've got something back, and we're gonna start anew. At least we have something from it. And I have to look closer into this, but I just read something right before you guys called me that the compensatory pick for him wasn't guaranteed. So I have to go a little bit further digging into that.
Well, it depends on how many. If you sign free agents, it's a net. It's always a net situation. But so you don't automatically get the compensation pick. But if you lose a bunch, and maybe the Panthers wouldn't lose that many free agents because not a whole lot of players attractive to sign in free agency. So it's not a guarantee, but a compensatory pick would come with it based on how many free agents you were to sign in the offseason. Who knows? They might be super active. Chris Lee, WRAL TV 5 at Chris Lee TV on Twitter. So let me kick this forward because I've been very militant, almost baseball about it. If I were the Panthers, I would make a list of all of my assets and they would all be available, every single one. Would you trade J.C. Horn?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think that they should go for the fire sale thing right now, and just mainly because I feel like you have certain pieces that you could still build around, and with a good enough draft and a good enough, I guess off season where you're signing free agents, you can get a little bit better. Look at the Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell. Wasn't really good the first year, okay the second year, third year they're taking off, right? Not saying that this is exactly what's going to happen under Canales, but it is possible, and you have certain pieces that are there. I think they're set up great for the future when it comes down to offense and the skill positions. I really like what I've seen out of some of the guys that I've mentioned earlier, along with their offensive line. Really now you just need to get the quarterback situation together, right? And now, all the attention that you put together, put to the offense last offseason, this coming offseason, maybe you could put a little bit more attention towards the defense, to get some run stoppers, to get some good tacklers, on there,
right.
Get some guys who can cover receivers and stuff like that, along with J.C. Horn. J.C., he may not want to be in Carolina. You can kind of tell with him, he wants to be in a place where fans aren't feeling apathetic towards the team. But I do feel like he's a good piece to kind of keep around and to build around. And who knows, maybe in a couple of years, if you do the right things in the offseason, Dan Morgan, then, maybe it looks a little bit better for you.
Chris Lee is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Check out the Panthers Playbook podcast. He and Dennis Cox put that together. Just looking at their available draft picks, they have one pick in each of the first 4 rounds, 3 picks in the 5th round, and then 3 picks in the 7th round. They just dealt their 6th rounder in exchange for Baltimore's 5th rounder. How many? Because you think, I don't think they're just a quarterback away from being good. I think if you put the best quarterback, I think if you put Patrick Mahomes on their team, they would be better. But I think there's maybe 4 quarterbacks in the entire league that would make this team better. I think they're far enough away at so many of the other positions. Remember a couple of years ago, I think it was the second year of Matt Rule when they drafted everybody on the defensive side. I think they need another one of those defensive drafts.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It is going to take a little bit, but on the offensive side, I just kind of feel like everything is mostly there. You probably need one more receiver, a Diontae Johnson-esque player who's great at running routes, who could be that solid number one, because you don't quite have that yet. But you have guys that are, just are rising. So I'm not too down on the offense, and it really hasn't been the offense that's been losing the games as of late. It's really been defense. So yeah. I'm with you. They need to get some pass rushing because they have 0 right now. They need somebody that if Derek Brown were to go down again, then he's fine. They need somebody next to Trevin Wallace because, Shaq Thompson, love him to death. He's getting long in the tooth and he's getting injured every year right now.
Right.
So, and also I would be a fan of a new defensive scheme, probably a new defensive coordinator as well. So it's there is a lot of work to do for this team. I'm not suggesting that they're going to make the playoffs next year or anything like that. But if you do the right things this offseason, you can get a little bit closer.
If the NFL expanded to all 32 teams making the playoffs, I give the Panthers a decent chance, at least 50-50, of making it. Chris Lee is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. What is your read? I know you and Dennis have talked about it. What is your read on how they have dealt with Bryce Young?
I originally didn't want them to bench Bryce when they did. My whole thing was give him to the bye week, or at least closer to the bye week. And if he hasn't been the guy since then it's okay to kind of scrap it, say we're going to move on and do your thing from there. I am not totally against, now that they've made this move, I'm not against them going with Andy Dalton, right, if that were to be the case. I do think that last year, and this is more than likely a David Tepper call. I don't want to bring Frank Reich's name into the mud anymore, but probably should have started Andy Dalton from the beginning and had Bryce Young, come off the bench at a certain point and stand there, be a backup, develop, and not just throw him into the fire at the very beginning and have him lose his confidence, because that's really what it is. The guy lost his confidence. He's not the same guy that we saw at Alabama. So in the head, but physically he's the same guy. So I think that's really what they could have done going forward. I'm just not sure. It's just depending on what they see. I'm not convinced he can be a starter just with what I've seen. But again, maybe there's something else that they're seeing that could help him out in the future. But as of right now for 2024, if Andy Dalton is available to play, Andy Dalton has to be the one to start.
I think so. I just wish they would be more decisive with how they talk about these things. I think it would be better for their fans if they were a little bit more honest and upfront. Like when Dave Canales is asked yesterday or 2 days ago about who's going to start this week, and he kind of talks around what would have been very simple. Look, if Andy's thumb is healthy enough to play, he's going to play. Why is that hard to say out loud? I'm baffled by...
Because they're not trying to, make somebody's confidence who's already low even lower.
But they already benched him. They already benched him, and the only reason Bryce Young had played this past week was because Andy was in a car accident and sprained his thumb. So, right. Dave Canales is treating his football team like they're children. They're grown men. They're grown men. These are professionals. It's not that hard, but they are making everything more difficult. So I don't know. I'm way because I have no emotional attachment to it. I am way radical about the way I would treat this football team. Chris Lee, and maybe that's bad. Maybe I'm reckless. That's very possible.
No, I wouldn't call you.
No, it's fine. It wouldn't be an unfair thing to say about this football team. If like Gold, you're being crazy, that would be okay. Because maybe they need a little crazy.
I don't think so. And you would like for him to just come out and say it. I kind of feel like he said it without saying it. He's made the blow a little bit softer, but but I'm with you on that. Like there needs to be something definitive so people know that this is Andy Dalton's team until further notice.
Just tell your fans. He's not speaking to us. He's speaking to them. Chris Lee, right. WRAL TV5 Sports at Chris Lee TV, Panthers Playbook Podcast. Go check it out. I thank you very much, man. We'll talk again very soon.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
You got it. Chris Lee here on the Adam Gold Show. When we come back, we've got one-timers next hour. Chip Patterson and Victoria will settle their differences. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
NC Medicaid is for people just like me.
Adults who don't have children.
People who serve.
People who do the heavy lifting.
Childcare teachers. Full healthcare coverage at low or no cost.
Doctor's visits, emergency rooms, and prescriptions.
So if you applied before and didn't get it, apply again.
NC Medicaid covers more people than ever before.
Get full healthcare coverage at low cost, no monthly fees, and $4 max copays. NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we are diving into a topic that is important to so many of us, the health insurance open enrollment period. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with Megan Brohl, a consultant with the Marsh McLennan Agency, an NCHA partner providing business employee health and benefits, and a graduate of Coastal Carolina University. She explains some of the things to consider when opting in for insurance coverage.
Really looking at the information, comparing the plans, not just the premiums, but what's the coverage, and making that best decision for you, your family, what's going to be best in the future if you have things that are coming up, and really considering all factors when you're looking at your coverage.
You can learn more and join our latest conversation on the state of healthcare wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
Hello there, it's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? A simple thank you, a friendly smile when you pass a stranger, looking people in the eye and greeting them with, "Hi, how are you today?" and really meaning it. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we doing?
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. You play Sinatra coming back from a break, I am more apt to just listen. So
I know. It's a good one.
it is. Oh.
I mean, I'm going to have some traditional classics, obviously, for tomorrow, but I like to do my deep dives until we get there.
Phenomenal track, by the way.
It is. It's good. It's Frank.
Yes. All right. So we'll croon later. Right now, it's time for one-timers.
Oh, so many things.
Yes.
So many things. But first and foremost, this just throughout this whole process, this Panther process, what would success look like to you for the Panthers and the rest of this season?
Ooh.
Right. I know.
Yeah. Competence. I mean, that's exactly what I said at the beginning of the year. We have seen it twice, I think. How many games have they played? They're 1-6, 1-7?
There's been 8 games.
8 games. They're 1-7.
Mm-hmm.
There's been competence twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
The win against the Raiders, obviously, that was competence. I thought the following week they were competent as well. And although maybe that was the game against the Falcons. Whichever the game against the Falcons was, when I thought they did some really good things, the game just got away from them when Andy Dalton threw the second half interception. Right? But I thought that game showed competence as well. So 3 out of 8 games have shown competence. That's 5 games of utter incompetence and bordering on embarrassing each of those times. So that's probably not a good ratio.
Yeah. No.
So competence in each of their remaining games. That is, I don't need them to win a single game. I just need them to look like they belong in the league and not a team that should be relegated.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
I feel like that's been a reoccurring theme for the Panthers. Just look competent. Well, also, kind of sort of talking about the Panthers, but is there a team in the past that you can think of that has looked this messy and this out of it that has turned things around and become successful, even if it took a couple of years?
No.
Yeah.
No, not that it's looked this bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints have had winless seasons. The Lions had a winless season. The Panthers had a winless season, right? Did they have? No, they had 1-15.
One,
twice,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They were 1-15
Multiple
twice.
times. Yes.
It's hard to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the Panthers did because they drafted Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And it didn't take them that long to become good after 1-15. But I also don't think they were this dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know that they had a piece in place. I am less optimistic than our friend Chris Lee that they have any. Like, I am less optimistic that there's anybody on the roster today that will be on the roster when they're good.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
Maybe Xavier
good is
Legette,
not around the corner.
Maybe Robert Hunt, who has certainly been good. I might be done.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
This might be our last but not least. Moving on to the World Series. So the Yankees got their game last night.
Yeah.
Now, if they win their next one, because baseball is crazy like that, do you think that could build them enough momentum to make a historical comeback?
Do I think it will happen? No. Can it happen? Absolutely. Look, the Yankees have won 4 in a row before, even 4 in a row against good teams. They will have the pitching matchup edge tonight with Garrett Cole and Jack Flaherty. So I give them a chance. Absolutely give them a chance. It's okay.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and a lot of us, some of us are sleep deprived, and we are in need of a midweek boost. So America's #1 sports book has it for you. Every Wednesday, you can get parlay profit boosts on everything from spreads to totals, even player props. Don't let the weekend have all the fun. Look for the Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack in the FanDuel app to find your profit boost today. If you're new to FanDuel, Visit FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Happy Hump Day. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Max wager amount applies. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. For all the inside information on your team, join me and my co-host WRAL TV's Chris Lee for our podcast, Panthers Playbook, presented by Carolina Ford Dealers. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on your Panthers, and we'll do it with access only we can provide. Locker room insight, exclusive interviews, and in-depth looks at every Panthers game. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
$5, that's some deal, yeah. McDonald's money, I got McDonald's money. One meal just to make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get a hot and spicy patty to make nuggets so crisp, and the fries go to yellow, yeah, McDonald's don't miss, yeah. Order on the app or the drive-thru quick, yeah. $5, that's some deal, yeah. McDonald's money, I got McDonald's money.
At participating McDonald's.
Whether it's the future of college football or my love for the Ryder Cup, it's all found in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Swing and a ball drilled, right field, curling back, gone! Over the wall, Freddie Freeman, one more time. He's homered in 4 consecutive games in this World Series, and it is 2-0. You can't stop him. As Freeman comes to the plate, barking into his dugout, let's go.
I mean, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable what he has done every single game. And he was talking before the game about actually getting his posture high because he wanted to start to pull the ball to right field. 4 home runs on pulled balls to right field.
Amazing. 4 homers in 4 World Series games.
Free money, people. I told you before game 3. I told you before game 4. What are the chances? What are the chances it happens again?
I know. I need to check and see what the lines are for today.
Let me see. Freddie Freeman. See, they've already wised up. It's plus 450.
Okay.
We went from plus 630 to plus 600.
Right.
Even plus 450.
It's still
free money.
I mean, it's a hitter's ballpark, so
It's certainly to right field.
yes, it's
Certainly to
perfect
right
for
field.
him.
If you hit the ball to left field, especially in the gap, it is not. It is a pitcher's ballpark for right-handed pull hitters. But for lefties or any righty that hits the ball the other way, you can hit some joke home runs at Yankee Stadium. So, but Freddie doesn't have to get cheated to hit it out. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. It is the Adam Gold Show. We are about 14 minutes away from Chip Patterson and Victoria, maybe, I don't know, burying the hatchet. I don't know what happened between you guys.
I know.
But you guys had you ghosted him.
Got to duke it out.
Like 2 weeks in a row or whatever it is. Like, wait, she's not here again on a Wednesday?
Right. He didn't have a bow tie again. I'm done.
So he said you were ducking him for whatever reason. So we'll get to the bottom of that. We'll talk college football with Chip Patterson. All right, I want to go back to the World Series game 4 last night. Yankees, by the way, win it 11-4. Freddie Freeman homered in the first inning. It was 2-0 Dodgers. Yankees got a run back, I believe, in the second. Then Anthony Volpe, their shortstop, hits a third inning grand slam to put them up 5-2. It got to 5-4. And then the Yankees slowly just pulled away. 6-4, I believe, in the seventh, and they scored, or I think in the sixth maybe, they scored 5 runs in the eighth. That's when Aaron Judge showed up. He got his RBI single, I think, to make it, I don't know, 10-2, whatever it was. But at least he felt good about something. He walked once. He was hit by a pitch. He reached on an error. So he's getting on base. Maybe that'll get him going. The real answer to your question before is they need number 99 to play like he played for 162 games, not what he has done throughout his entire postseason career. So if they get the best version of Aaron Judge, then the Yankees can win anywhere against anyone at any time. So it is still there for them. Obviously, must start with, I think they need good Garrett Cole. No, they need great Garrett Cole tonight. What the Yankees need is for their starting pitcher to create doubt in the Dodgers. They need Garrett Cole to go out and dominate a very good, very deep Dodgers lineup. If that happens, the Yankees can drag the series back to Los Angeles for a Game 6. They'll have Carlos Rodon. The Dodgers will have Yamamoto, but at least the Yankees will have somebody they believe is an ace. What happens in a Game 7? Because I don't believe Schultz or the pitcher, the starter they used last night, Gil, I apologize for not pronouncing his name right. I don't think either of those guys are better than who the Dodgers would throw, Walker Buehler. Only either of those guys are better. So the Dodgers are set up to have Walker Buehler pitching in Game 7. That's the next time the Dodgers would have a pitching advantage in the World Series. But if you got to Game 7, nobody's got an advantage. In fact, I would say the Yankees would have the advantage based on most recent confidence. I would simply point, because I actually don't even remember who started for Boston in Game 7 of the 2004 American League Championship Series. The Yankees sent out Kevin Brown, who was an excellent pitcher. Now, he wasn't necessarily that Kevin Brown when he got to the Yankees, but they sent out a bona fide starting pitcher. And he got his brains beat in. I mean, I think it was 8-0 Boston after 2. Brown just got lit up. Part of that was Boston was really good, and part of that was the momentum that Boston was playing with. So if the Yankees can get to Game 7, no guarantees, but I would actually give them the edge. Talking way ahead of time, they haven't won Game 5 yet. But they need Garrett Cole to shut down the Dodgers lineup tonight. Now, the other issue that we haven't spoken about yet is Austin Capobianco.
Yep.
So who's that, Adam? Well, if you watched the game last night, you saw Austin Capobianco and a friend.
Yes, and a sidekick.
Combine to borderline assault Mookie Betts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Foul ball down the right field line. Mookie Betts comes over, makes the catch. You're out.
Yep.
So these two guys proceeded to grab. They were trying to get the foul ball. I have no problem trying to get a foul ball. Zero problem with that. And I don't think Betts, I didn't see a tremendous camera angle on it. I don't think Betts reached over into the stands.
No.
It's not, well, we've seen it before, but I don't think he reached over into the stands.
It only looks like he reached when the first guy was grabbing his glove because he was yanking it.
And that's Austin Capobianco.
Yes, and that is Austin.
He grabbed the glove with both hands, and then he reached inside and yanked the ball out.
Right,
right?
Yes.
The umpire was not fooled.
No.
You're out, right? Because, I mean, Mookie Betts made the catch. So, eventually, I don't know why there was like replays and all that, and like, what do we do? Like, no, he's whatever. Replays, or rather, security came in. They escorted these two guys out of the stadium.
Right.
And there is some sort of a debate over what should happen. Now, if we were talking about any other franchise, I think it's pretty simple. You were ejected from the game, and you are made to look like a clown.
Mm-hmm. Should be.
But it's the Yankees, and I would submit this when it comes to the Yankees. They glorified Jeffrey Mayer. For people who maybe recognize the name but don't remember the situation, 1996 playoffs, I think it was game 1. At home, it's the American League Championship Series against Baltimore. And Tony Tarasco is the right fielder for the Orioles. Derek Jeter hits a fly ball to right. I think it's the 9th inning. Or, no, one of the 9th is like the 8th inning or so. And remember what I said about cheap home runs hit to right field in Yankee Stadium if you're a right-handed hitter and can hit the ball the other way? This is what we're talking about. So it's fly ball to right. And Tony Tarasco, Baltimore's right fielder, is under the ball. Now, he's up against the wall, so, I mean, it's not a guarantee he's going to catch it. He was going to catch it. And Jeffrey Mayer, Yankee fan, reaches out and catches the ball. And Richie Garcia was then the American League umpire in the outfield, down the right field line, signals home run. Don't have the benefit of replay back in 1996. And it's a home run. It's a Derek Jeter home run. Tarasco is like, "What? I'm about to catch this ball." The Yankees not only glorified him, and by the way, got the benefit of the win in the game, and took that. They were the better team. I don't know if they were the better team, but they might have beaten Baltimore anyway. It was the beginning of their dynasty. So, whatever. But the Yankees not only glorified Mayer, who interfered with a World Series game, they gave him, like, box seats. He became a hero.
Right. Which is crazy.
I mean, I know this is probably unfair to Yankee lore, but I don't see another team doing this.
Perfect example, Steve Bartman, Chicago Cubs. He is the complete opposite. Vilified for years. It honestly did not wipe clean.
It ruined his life.
It did. Legit. He had
his life.
problems, and it wasn't even, quote, wiped out until they won the World Series.
Well,
years later.
Two situations were different. It didn't benefit the Cubs, what he did.
Right.
Right?
No.
It benefited the Yankees, what Jeffrey Mayer did.
Mm-hmm.
I would submit that if we were thinking rationally, and I am not suggesting that fans should think rationally, the Cubs were really undone by a lot worse things that happened with Jeffrey Mayer getting in the way of Moises Alou catching the foul ball, right? So there was Alex Gonzalez probably blew a ground ball later on, which really had more of an issue to do with anything else. But only the Yankees. So if we're sitting around having a debate about what should happen to Austin Capobianco and his sidekick, the answer is simple. They reached into the field of play, tried to steal an active player's glove and take the ball. Yeah, they should be banned from Yankee Stadium. I don't know how long you ban them for. I don't know, like 50 years.
Right.
Ban them for 50 years.
Why not?
I don't know. But
it's a good number, round number.
I don't know. It was just a way to talk about Jeffrey Mayer.
Exactly.
And
rather than going to the bars afterward and people trying to get his autograph. That's gross. You're gross. If you ask for his autograph, it's just no.
Hold on. As a Yankee fan? As a Yankee fan.
Oh, I'm sure.
I get it.
High five and all this, but
I get it.
Let's not.
As an organization,
different.
It's
a problem with
fan,
the world.
Yeah. As a fan, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, Chip Patterson and Victoria will, I hope, come to some détente. And we'll talk college football next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead.
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
Hey, it's Adam from my friend Gordon Miller. Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road and Cary. The big brain of Gordon invented the no closing cost mortgage back in 1987, brought it to the Triangle in 1996. I have told you that thousands of times already. We've talked about getting rid of timing. Sometimes you're going to buy a house and you don't know what the mortgage rates are, but maybe they're a little higher. Right now, they ticked up about 0.5 point over the last month or so, but they're going to drop. It's an election year. The following year after an election year, the rates continue to drop. So don't worry about what the rate is today. Don't pay closing costs. Get your mortgage. Save yourself thousands by not paying closing costs. And then when the rates drop, and Gordon tells me he thinks rates will be around 5.5, maybe even a little lower at some point next year, you refinance free of charge, lower your monthly payment. How about that? Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
Martha was ready to switch to a career in IT.
There's always a need for IT specialists, especially with AI coming out and cybersecurity. It's practically recession-proof.
My Computer Career even provides job placement help.
The career specialists, they're very helpful. They care about you as a person. You're not just a number to them. I would recommend My Computer Career wholeheartedly to anyone.
Take the free career evaluation today. Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey. and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to hims.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
This is Adam Gold.
We don't need Al Roker in a suit doing yoga.
No.
And Al, to his credit, recognized that and said, you know what? I am not getting into Warrior 2.
I'm stopping at Downward Dog.
There will be no, he didn't get to that. Like, heck no.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program for a change on a Wednesday.
I know. I can't help it. I love Wednesdays. Just like your wife, we both agree.
Yeah.
It's the perfect day to take off.
I think she'll be off next Wednesday. I don't know about you. Are you going to be off next Wednesday?
No,
Okay.
I'll be here.
All right. It is Wednesday. It's time to talk to Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. There you are. Have you and Victoria come to a détente before we start talking? We did. We negotiated a settlement. That's great. What are the terms of the agreement?
Consider the beef squashed. The terms of the agreement shall be sealed unless unsealed by a court order.
Exactly.
Have your attorney call us.
Outstanding. Oh my gosh. All right. I was gonna start this way. Is it possible, Chip Patterson? I want to get into, because we're basically turning for home now. I know you wrote about second half storylines, but we're beyond the second half. But now we're getting into like money time for the last 5 weekends? 5 weekends of the college football season, of the regular season. We're not including yet the conference championship weekend. Is it possible that the number one team in the country will not be playing on conference championship weekend?
There is a possibility, yes. There is a
amazing.
Look, there's a possibility, depending on like 5 or 6 games, that Miami could be 12-0 and not playing for the ACC championship.
Right. Well, it would take. Just looking at it, it would be really, really difficult for that to happen, I think.
You think?
Just based on SMU's remaining schedule. But you're right. I was actually thinking more about Georgia.
The fact that if Georgia wins out, they do not control their own destiny, that is true.
So.
That there are scenarios where Texas A&M, like Georgia needs Alabama to beat LSU right now. And Georgia fans are beside themselves thinking that they have to root for Alabama for anything. So, I mean, it's messy everywhere. You know,
It is.
I just mentioned some of the ACC scenarios. There's SEC scenarios that'll absolutely like blow your brains, and that's not even considering what's ahead, even in the Big 12, where the number of contenders is even larger. So, yeah, it's there's Clemson being left out scenarios.
Yes.
So here's what I did. I actually have Clemson currently opponent win percentage is 16-21.
Yep.
Best case projection is 32-32. Miami's current opponents winning record, the win record of their opponents are 16-22.
Yep.
But Miami's best case projection is actually 30-34. Miami doesn't play Pitt, which
Right.
means that as long as Pitt continues to win, those games are going to be able to help them out. But then this is what was a little bit of a surprise. SMU currently at 13-24, that is third among those teams. The best case projection, and remember, best case projection we can actually figure out, because if teams that are on your schedule play each other, that's just a 1 and a win and a 1 and a loss.
Right.
So SMU needs Florida State to beat North Carolina. SMU needs Louisville to beat Stanford. SMU needs Stanford over NC State, Cal over Wake Forest, Duke over NC State, Boston College over Syracuse. It is not college football to root for your foes, and that's where the ACC is, as we have devolved into the fifth tiebreaker in a league that is bloated beyond belief without divisions.
Here's the thing. Every win for FSU helps Clemson and Miami too.
So all three teams actually need Florida State over North Carolina. That was the one thing that I thought was really funny. All three teams have that on their key games. Like Clemson's key games, Florida State over North Carolina, Virginia Tech over Syracuse, Wake Forest over Cal, NC State over Duke, Wake Forest over North Carolina, Louisville over Stanford, NC State over Georgia Tech, Stanford over Cal, Virginia Tech over Duke, NC State over North Carolina. Yeah, Clemson's rooting against North Carolina more than anybody that I've ever heard of. I mean, they like the best case for Clemson's win percentage is for Carolina to just tank out. Okay. And this is like what we're dealing with right here is essentially teams, because this all could play itself out.
Sure.
This is legit. I'm writing this for Thursday because I really think might be one of the only weeks where we could go in and write it.
Right.
Because we're like, oh my God, 3 8-0 teams all make it to the end. Well, how many times does that actually happen? So
can't. I mean, for the most part, it could never happen, right?
In the old days, yes, for sure.
You couldn't have 2 8-0 teams on one side of the bracket because it's only recently that we have ditched divisions. So you couldn't do that. But the whole thing is fascinating, and this is why I am not. We have how many times have we had conversations about expanding the college football playoff? I'm still fundamentally against it, but we've got it. And to me, the really fascinating thing is just how many games we still have between now and conference championship weekend that will have a great impact on just who gets in. And I think that of all of, I don't think many of these teams have a chance to win, but getting in now that we've expanded it, I think this part of the conversation is great. I think it's awesome for the sport as a whole because it keeps more fan bases dialed into this and not just playing and getting to a bowl game and all of that because pretty much everybody that can walk and chew gum makes a bowl game anyway. So, look, I think this is really good.
I don't know.
What was just going through your mind there, Chip Patterson?
You'd be amazed at how difficult making a bowl game can be. When you're staring at I'll tell you what. When Wake Forest and Stanford were both trying to lose last Saturday at the same time, one of those teams, like bowl eligibility, was hanging in the balance.
Right.
Like there are a lot of games at this time of year when you're looking at a couple of 4-3, 3-4, like those. This is a big time for some teams when it comes to that. But if I were to call back to Dabo Swinney,
right,
and his a lot of years we don't even have 4 teams comment, the thing about the discussion now is that we are going to be trying to project forward with teams that are imperfect, with teams that are untrustworthy, with teams that have flaws that make it very difficult for anybody to be able to sit and say, okay, well, if so-and-so beats so-and-so and so-and-so beats so-and-so, like to game out the final even 2 weeks of the regular season with teams that are, of the a Tennessee. Who trusts Tennessee right now? With teams like LSU, untrustworthy fundamentally. Texas A&M they've got like 12 quarterbacks. They've been 9 different versions of themselves,
right,
and somehow they're first place in the SEC. Georgia has shown us highs and lows. Like I've seen so many Texas. I've seen so many teams bleed.
Yes.
And I just don't trust anybody. And so in some senses, it's a great conversation because no one's wrong. but it's also going to make me kind of bang my head through a wall because that we're going to get a lot of, if so-and-so beats so-and-so and so-and-so beats so-and-so and so-and-so beats so-and-so, then what happens? I'll be like, well, throw down $100 on your 4-game parlay and maybe you can take it to the bank. But I don't trust all of those events to happen in sequence just because none of these teams have shown that they are willing to play even to their model expectation. So I'm excited because I do think it will be chaotic and bring a lot of interest, keep fan bases involved. But in terms of the conversation about who's in, who's out, bubble watch and things like that, I'm kind of I'm dreading it probably more than I am like buzzing for it.
Chip Patterson, always on Wednesdays now that he and Victoria will be back because you guys have reached a settlement. Here's the thing about this year versus other years, and I've been critical of college football in this regard, is that we pretty much know who the best, 3 teams are. Maybe there's a fourth. I think Dabo has been right about this, that we generally know definitely 2, usually 3, rarely 4. And that fourth team is who had a good year, who ended up undefeated in their league, unless you name Florida State.
Oh, that's right.
But for the most part, we've known the top.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? I don't think we know the top this year. And I think that's in some ways really good. And I think if we had this scenario several years ago, we might not have, at least this has been one of the excuses, well, it's the same teams every year. That's not the fault of a 4-team playoff, because if you go back to when we just had 2 teams, we had more variance. Like, I know it's counterintuitive. The fewer teams that were playing for a national championship back when we just had the BCS, we had more teams that were involved. When we went to 4, we had the same teams involved always. It was Ohio State, it was Alabama, it was Clemson for the most part. Those were our combinations. Every once in a while, there'd be another team kind of snuck in there.
Well, I've got you. It's Oklahoma, then it was Georgia, and they almost passed each other off.
Right.
I'm not kidding.
No, it's true.
You combine those, and that was like in that midseason storylines piece I wrote 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was, all the old guard had taken losses. We had seen Ohio State take a loss. We had seen Georgia take a loss. We had seen Clemson take a loss. Like we had seen Alabama take a loss. Like that was the group that contributed not just to college football playoff appearances, but title game matchups. Like playing, not only making it, but playing against each other. And so, that's what opens the door. Like we had this discussion on the Cover 3 podcast this week. Oregon is a deserving number 1 in the polls.
Sure.
I don't know if anyone is ready to beat down the door to say that they are definitively the best team in college football. Everyone is willing to give Oregon a front row seat to the event of the competition to be the best team in college football. But nobody is ready to say that. And even Oregon, with only 1 college football playoff appearance, that being a decade ago in the very first year of the 4-team format, even they're a little bit new money from that perspective.
They are. By the way, they beat Florida State in that game, right?
In the semifinal,
they beat Florida
and then
State?
they lost to Ohio State in the title game.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about something else. Chip Patterson is joining us here as he does every Wednesday.
That was Jameis Winston falling backwards, throwing an interception that was taken the other way for a touchdown.
Hey, Florida, Jimbo Fisher already had his national championship at that point. I don't know if he had, emotionally dragged his Christmas tree out to the curb already, but it was coming. So Oregon's got at Michigan, at Wisconsin. I don't think they're losing either of those games. And then home against Washington, I don't think they're losing that game. So they're probably going to end up in the Big Ten title game. Will it be against Ohio State or Penn State? Because I don't think Indiana's going to win at the Horseshoe at Ohio State, but maybe they won't have to. I mean, who knows? If Ohio State loses to Penn State, I guess Penn State would still be undefeated in the league, and they only have Washington that could beat them left, and I don't think Washington's going to beat them. Who's going to be in the Big Ten title game?
I think Indiana can beat Ohio State in the Horseshoe.
You think that little of Ohio State?
I think that in their current state, down to their third and fourth tackles,
right?
I think that in their current state, unable to run the ball effectively on first down, and I think that in their current state, dealing with a secondary that's been a little bit banged up, I think they're vulnerable.
Okay.
I think like the thing about this Ohio State-Penn State game coming up this weekend is that both of these teams are so far from the best versions of themselves. It is such a, it is the most college football thing ever that it is going to come down to something dumb or special teams or who misses field goals or who blocks a field goal or which of these knucklehead coaches makes the worst timeout decisions, and they're both capable of doing it. Penn State in their best version has a healthy Drew Aller, and they've got more wide receiver options than just their big tight end Tyler Warren, who had 39 receptions in that overtime win against USC. Penn State's defense is amazing, and they're going to be going up against an Ohio State offensive line that, as I just mentioned, is down like 3 All-American caliber linemen and can't block anybody or can't block for the run. So they're just going to chuck it up there to Jeremiah Smith and hope he does it. And you know what? Jeremiah Smith is so good that he might go and do it.
Might work.
And it's just going to be so loud and tense in that stadium. I mean, it is going to be a throwback game in the truest sense because I know Ohio State and Penn State so intimately well. I know what their best version can be. I know what it looks like. And they're just, it's college football. They're just not healthy. They're just not that right now. And so that's what we're dealing with Ohio State. That's what we're dealing with Penn State. Indiana has exceeded expectations at every single turn.
Right.
They are well coached. They play all the way through, and they are getting their star quarterback back from an injury pretty soon. So I'm just not ruling Coach Sig out from being able to not take down the Buckeyes in the Horseshoe in a couple weeks.
All right.
That said,
we haven't come.
Give me Oregon and Ohio State in the Big Ten title game in Indianapolis.
All right, and we'll see if Ohio State wins the return match. They might end up at number 1 and get the bye, and Oregon would end up probably at number 5 or whatever, depending on where Georgia ends up, or I don't know, at Texas A&M. A&M and Texas both don't really have anything that should beat them until they meet each other in the last game of the season.
Only a 2.5-point favorite against South Carolina.
Yeah, on the road in Columbia. Yeah, I was looking at that.
Under the lights.
Hey, look, I'm here to see South Carolina win that football game. I'm a Shane Beamer guy. I love Shane Beamer. I think he's fun.
I just don't. I think that there is so that is for those of you. FanDuel, right? Yeah. For those of you who engage with FanDuel Sportsbook, where of course you could make every single moment more. 2.5-point spread, over under of 44.
Right.
You just think about the rock fight that is being implied by the odds makers right now.
Right.
And how both of these teams are not super explosive. Both of these teams have running quarterbacks and tenacious defensive lines. That game is within a coin. Back to my beginning, everyone can bleed in college football this year. Anybody can get got. So I think Texas A&M. I'm going to pick Texas A&M to win. Texas A&M could lose. I would not be surprised if Texas A&M loses before they get to that Texas game. But even Texas, they've got to figure out how to put the pieces back together right now. Right. I mean, it's interesting out here.
It is crazy out here in these streets. Is Georgia losing a game between now and the end of the regular season?
No, their best chances that they had, Ole Miss and Tennessee, both feel so far. Both Ole Miss and Tennessee started the season whomping everybody, just blowing them out of the water. And then conference play started, and then they started to get a little banged up. And now neither team is super impressive. They both got really, really good defenses. In particular, they both have really, really good defensive lines, so they can make life tough on Georgia. But again, I don't think that those teams are close enough to their peak form to be able to jump up and go get the Bulldogs. So, yeah, I think Georgia's going to be able to win out the rest of the way, and whether or not that 7-1 conference record gets them to Atlanta or leaves them as the 5 seed in the college football playoff, We'll just have to wait and see.
After they lose to Georgia Tech, will Georgia still be in the college football playoff?
Yes, if Georgia has wins against Texas and against Ole Miss and against Tennessee,
right,
teams that I'm sure are just like just super glued into the committee's top 25 somewhere, then yeah, they'll have enough committee wins to be able to make it.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see how everybody parses, how that committee parses the strength of schedule and all of that. I think we're going to end up with a lot of really good records, but maybe very few great records. Look, it's quite possible that we end up with maybe 2 undefeated teams. If Miami can finish the season undefeated and Oregon does, although I think they both might be underdogs in a conference championship game.
You think Miami would be an underdog to Clemson?
I think if Clemson is mowing teams down, yeah, especially if Clemson beats South Carolina handily, yeah, I think they'll be a favorite over Miami in the ACC championship game. It'd be a tight.
It'd be a point and a half.
Yeah, it'd be nothing.
And then it would get traded back and forth leading up to kickoff, and then big syndicate from Europe that just bets every underdog blindly for $500K. It's going to see the limits go up and all of a sudden go move. I mean, it's crazy out here in these streets with the betting markets. Like 10, 15 years ago, we used to say things like, oh, Vegas knows. And I think I've said this to you before and definitely to your audience. The closer that I've gotten to like the actual people, you realize you're a lot closer to them than because they're trading I mean, it's a stock market.
Yeah,
they're buying and selling at numbers. Like I'll take it at 7.5. I won't take it at 6.5. You know, you're not actually breaking down the football for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
So
I would never do it that way. I would never pick a game based on, I think they're going to win, but I don't think they'll cover. In general, who do I think is going to win?
Hey,
and I will
the
do
R in ROI is for recreation. We're just trying to move a little bit here, move a little bit there, tip the dealer, and get out of here with some beer money, all right? That's all we're trying to do.
Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, friend of the program, friend of Victoria's again. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
I do need to know the terms. I need to know the terms of the settlement at some point, so I know it's under seal.
Yeah, of course. Chip and I
Yeah.
are good pals,
I
so
know.
we're good.
Honestly, it was just funny how Chip played it up last week. It was great.
I know. Well, it is a thing. I know. That's why I joke with Chip, and I'm like, we're just gonna have to move you to a different day because it's just the worst. There's no compromise.
There can't be. There can't be. Real quick about the ACC's three-way, if you will. Miami, Clemson, SMU, all undefeated in league play. Based on current records, it does look almost impossible for, at the end of the season, if SMU, Miami, and Clemson are all unbeaten in league play and they do not play each other. So we could have 3 8-0 teams in league play. It looks impossible for SMU to win that or to get into the top 2 of that based on their current, the remaining teams on their schedule. They do play Pitt today. And Pitt also plays Clemson for the Tigers' last ACC game. Miami doesn't play Pitt. So Clemson and SMU would benefit from the Panthers finishing the year 6-2. But SMU's got 1-3 Boston College, 2-3 Virginia, and 0-4 Cal left. So there's just not enough good on their schedule, not enough good in their past. FSU, Louisville, Stanford, Duke. So too bad, too good in terms of records, where I just don't think SMU can, if you give the best case scenario for the Mustangs, I just don't think there's enough that they can do to overcome the deficit they've already got in terms of current record. And Chip was right. Miami's current opponents in league play 16-22. Clemson's current opponents in league play 16-21. And SMU's current opponents in league play are 13-24. It's just they just can't make up that ground. So it's going to be, if we have 3 at 8-0, SMU is going to be 11-1, and hoping that the committee doesn't stare at their overall credentials and realize, haven't really played anybody except Pitt. Pitt and BYU would be the two best teams that they have played. They lost to BYU in a rock fight, like 18-15. And theoretically, under this scenario, they would have beaten Pitt. Those would be the only two good teams they played. It's going to be hard for SMU to get into the playoff with an 11-1 record. They're going to have to figure out a way. Well, they're going to need Clemson to lose or Miami to lose in conference play. Maybe Miami loses their last conference game at Syracuse and 11-1 Miami makes it. But I'm not sure SMU losing an ACC championship game would get in. And if Clemson had a loss and lost the ACC championship, I'm not sure they'd get in either. So, all right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We will stretch. We will place bets. They're giving away money again. Next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
If you are in need of a midweek boost, FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, has you covered with the Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack. Who named that? That's fantastic. Every Wednesday now, you can get parlay profit boosts on everything from spreads to totals, even player props. So don't let the weekends have all the fun. Take advantage of Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack. Who knows? Might be your favorite day of the week. Look for the Hump Day Parlays Reward Stack in the FanDuel app to find your profit boost. FanDuel.com/AGS. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. Opt-in required. Max wager amount applies. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we are diving into a topic that is important to so many of us, the health insurance open enrollment period. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with Megan Brohl, a consultant with the Marsh McLennan Agency, an NCHA partner providing business employee health and benefits, and a graduate of Coastal Carolina University. She explains some of the things to consider when opting in for insurance coverage.
Really looking at the information, comparing the plans, not just the premiums, but what's the coverage, and making that best decision for you, your family, what's going to be best in the future if you have things that are coming up, and really considering all factors when you're looking at your coverage.
You can learn more and join our latest conversation on the state of healthcare wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
Hey, my name's Kate Roper, and I live in Leicester, North Carolina. In September of 2023, I had a tumor removed from my left ear, and I just enrolled in NC Medicaid. It was just such a relief knowing that now that I'm covered by NC Medicaid, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to pay for medical treatment now. It's probably saving my life.
See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
This is Adam Gold.
What, a minute 53 into the game? Heat of the moment?
Right.
What kind of heat of the moment is that? We haven't even gotten to simmer yet.
I know. Did someone flip him off in the parking lot? Like, what are we...
Seriously.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We're going to place bets in a moment. We're going to stretch as well. Thanks to Chip Patterson for dropping by. Talk a little bit about the beautiful game coming up in about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. Charlotte FC is in the playoffs, and they will host Orlando City on Friday. Must win. They lost the first match. It's a weird playoff system in MLS in that the first round, we've already had wild card matches. That was a one-off. There were 2 last week, and the winners got the 8th seeds. Now, I think Charlotte FC is either they're the 6th seed. But the first round of MLS playoffs are best of 3. After that, it's knockout. Strange. Why these are best ofs, but I don't know. Who knows? And it's not aggregate, which we've had historically in European football. It is you win, you get 1. You got to win 2. You win 2, you're in. You go through. So Charlotte FC beats Orlando City on Friday. We have a match, I believe it's next week sometime, for, I guess, to advance. But it would be at Orlando City. But we'll talk to Jessica Choyman coming up in about 2:15 for all of that. Right now, it's time to stretch.
Okay, well, it's funny. It should have been yesterday, but today is National Candy Corn Day. I know it's your favorite, so.
Yeah, I don't see. My question is, why? With so many other options.
Yeah.
Why?
Might be a nostalgic thing for some. I think that's it. Who knows? Maybe.
How
that's
do you
why
feel
I do.
about the candy corn that has brown in it?
No. Then I know it's totally illogical because it's just food dye that makes it.
They taste the same.
Exactly. There's no difference. But for me, it's a mental thing. My favorite is the pumpkins, which I feel like are different than the actual candy corn. But that's whatever. It's National Candy Corn Day. Michael Felder and I share this. A little bit goes a long way for me. However, this survey says, or this poll says, that 35 million pounds of candy corn is consumed worldwide. So that's like 9 billion pieces.
35 million pounds of candy.
9 billion with a B is the equivalent, which, I don't know, a little bit goes a long way, but maybe it doesn't for some. Wow. And then, of course, it asks people how you eat it, because like you said, there is a difference between the regular kind and the one that's got the brown striples, sometimes people like have specific ways that they eat it too. Just like sandwiches. Some people will eat the crust first or the
Right.
These people are very particular about whether they stop with the orange or the white. Who knows? I don't know. To each their own, but enjoy your candy corn Wednesday, I guess. Now, if you eat too much candy corn, there is something that will apparently help you, and I've never heard of this before, but it's kind of fascinating.
It's called a restroom.
And kind of, yeah,
Sorry.
it's kind of fascinating and kind of gross because there's a website that did a big article about if you wreck your system by eating too much candy this Halloween, then there's a remedy for this. So if you mess up your microbiome by eating too much candy, it's a fancy word for the delicate balance of good bacteria in your gut, then you can apparently just eat some sauerkraut.
What?
The reason for this is because it helps with this imbalance. The 4 F's, all FCC approved. Fiber, phytochemicals, unsaturated fats, and fermented food all help you when you've overindulged in candy, apparently. I don't know. It just... it helps to set things back.
And the sauerkraut is fermented.
It is. Okay. Now, if you don't like sauerkraut, which some people do not, I understand.
I like sauerkraut.
You can. I do too. With a kielbasa, yogurt, kimchi.
Yeah, that's what I would have guessed. Yogurt.
Yeah, you could. All of this stuff will help you if you don't want to go the sauerkraut part.
Good bacteria.
Yes,
that's
with
yogurt,
the good stuff. So, yeah, if you indulge a little too much in the candy corn today, just get you some sauerkraut.
You could also just
not eat candy corn. Yeah, you could go that route too. Or you could make a really good bet, like us.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal in Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
I mean, I've given you plus 1230 in each of the last, not in each, but the last 2 days.
Right.
Back-to-back Freddie Freeman home runs. Mm-hmm. Game 3 plus 630. Game 4 plus 600.
Yes.
So, I mean, why would you go anywhere else?
I know.
I don't charge anything for it. All right, Victoria, you start.
See, I'm not going to reverse jinx it because I feel like if I jump on the Freddie Freeman anytime home run bandwagon, I'm going to reverse jinx it. So I'm going to stay away from that. But I will say that Stanton tonight is going to hit a home run. He's plus 285.
That's good value.
I
for
know.
Giancarlo Stanton.
It's better to get a Freddie Freeman one, but I don't know.
Freddie Freeman is plus 450.
Yes.
Is he going to do it 5 times in a row?
I don't know.
Juan Soto plus 400.
Exactly.
Juan Soto plus 400 anytime home run for the Yankees.
It feels like the day that he wouldn't after 4 times. But who knows? Maybe he'll come back.
But I will laugh out loud if he does.
I hope he does. My next one, you know what? The Yankees, they're trying to come back. I just don't see them taking this to another game. So give me the Dodgers. They're underdogs in this one, even with Flaherty pitching. So plus 122.
All right, I'm going to go to the NHL right here.
Yeah.
Okay? Devils are in Vancouver tonight. You know what's interesting about the Devils playing the Vancouver Canucks?
What's that?
3 Hughes brothers on the ice.
Oh, fun.
Maybe at the same time. Who knows? You have Jack Hughes for the Devils. He's the superstar, right? But so is Quinn Hughes, the defenseman, who scored against the Hurricanes. And Luke Hughes, defenseman for the Devils. I'm going to take both Hughes brothers, not named Jack, to score. You don't have to parlay this. I don't even think you can. Quinn Hughes, anytime goal scorer, plus 500. Luke Hughes, anytime goal scorer, plus 600.
Oh, nice. Well, while everything's happening on the East Coast, I'm going to the West Coast in hockey. Give me the Golden Knights versus the Kings. Give me the Knights to win and over 6.5. That's plus 240.
Final thing. English Football League Cup, called the Carabao Cup, just called the EFL Cup. Manchester United, who doesn't have a coach right now, they're playing at home to Leicester. We're going to talk about this with Jessica Charman coming up in a little bit. Leicester pulls off the upset at Old Trafford plus 630.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
At this point, I think it's obvious. Dave Canales and Bryce Young just don't like each other. They're two guys that don't trust each other. They're forced to work with each other. They didn't pick each other. But when they're forced to be on the field, one calling plays, one being the quarterback, they just don't get along. We all have that coworker. Theirs is pretty important.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-885-9700. 800-885-9700. 800-885-9700.
That's a deal, yeah. McDonald's money. I got McDonald's money. One meal just to make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get a hot and spicy patty? The McNuggets so crisp and the fries go to yellow. Yeah, McDonald's don't miss. Yeah, order on the app or the drive-thru quick. Yeah, $5. That's some deal, yeah. I got McDonald's money.
At participating McDonald's.
The NBA is finally back. A new season means new ways to get into the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Who's draining threes from beyond the arc? Who's crashing the boards and grabbing the rebounds? Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. First time? New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Every point counts with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIMD. That's code TIMD with no spaces for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-185-543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. From the Canes to the Panthers to all of the college sports in the Triangle, we cover it all on the Best of the Drive with Tim Donnelly podcast. Brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
We don't want you on our team. You're too slow and fat.
This is weight bias.
Don't you care how you look?
Those with the serious disease called obesity face weight bias every day.
You're not the right fit for this job.
And blame themselves.
I wish I was different.
Weight bias hurts.
Let's stop weight bias.
Be part of the solution.
Go to stopweightbias.com. A public service message from Obesity Action Coalition.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Lefty comes set. 2-2. Here comes. Swing and a ball lifted in the air center field. Judge coming on and he makes the catch. And that's the ball game. And the Yankees take game 4. And we will have a game 5 here in the Bronx.
Yeah, I mean, having the ace on the mound for another must-win game, like you said, if you don't have all the confidence in the world, I don't know what you're going to have. So I think we have a lot of confidence in him to be able to go out tomorrow, give us a quality start, and put us in a good position to win the game. Well, let's see what happens.
See what happens. Again, I said this before. The Yankees' path, first, you can't think about coming back to winning and winning this series. The Yankees simply need to win Game 5. It's funny, as the Hurricanes were trying to come back from 3-0 down to the Rangers. And they won Game 4 on home ice. Then they went back to Madison Square Garden, trailed. I think they trailed entering the third period and ended up winning the game. And it just seemed a lot more simple than we make it out to be. Because all your mission is to win the next game. It doesn't make a difference what it is. If we win this game, well, we can win this game. It's not a problem. And then all of a sudden, you get to the end, and you're like, all right, we're right back in it. Because you're even. Edmonton was there. Edmonton was down 3-0 to Florida. Won Game 4 on home ice. Won Game 5 in Florida. Won Game 6 in Edmonton. Flew back to Florida for Game 7. Got beat. I mean, whatever. But the Yankees have the starting pitching edge tonight in terms of what do you expect? This is not that Flaherty can't outpitch Cole. He absolutely can. But nobody would be shocked if Garrett Cole shut the Dodgers down for 7 innings with 2 hits. Nobody would be surprised at that. But that's what I think is needed from the Yankees. It's not, well, we just got to go win this game. No, I think they need to dominate the Dodgers lineup with pitching. To me, putting a little bit of doubt, because the Dodgers, they were probably poor yesterday and scored 4 runs. I'm also not sure that Shohei Ohtani is going to be effective anymore this series. I think the swing didn't look right.
Yeah.
Last night to me.
His shoulder starting to bother him a couple games ago, I think, really is impacting him. It's showing up big time, I think.
It was sublexed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Just say separated. All right. Let's get to the Wall of Sound.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right. So Anthony Richardson was benched. I know Richardson said that he needed to play off because he was tired. Okay. We're going to start with Adam Schefter, the report on the Colts benching Anthony Richardson in favor of Joe Flacco.
I spoke to some people on other teams, and when I said, hey, my sense is that they're benching Anthony Richardson, the reaction I got from some very smart people was like, of course they're benching him. Like, it wasn't even an option.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't believe how strong people were. And so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, this is happening. This is happening. And they met as an organization this morning to go over it. They obviously broke up those meetings. My understanding is that they have informed each quarterback, and now the move has been made. And it's a seismic move on a lot of levels because you're benching the former 3rd overall pick, who now becomes the 2nd quarterback in that draft class to be benched, Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick, now Anthony Richardson. And yes, I do think it has to do with the tap out.
Okay.
Man, the Panthers are just getting roped into everything.
They're catching strays. Ryan Kelly is the center for the Colts. His thoughts?
We had a conversation about it, and I think he knows it's not the standard that he needs to play up to, and the rest of the team holds him to. And I'll kind of leave the conversation that we had at that, but I'm sure he's going to take some criticism for that, rightfully so, right? I mean, that's a tough look, but I'm also, he's out there giving it all for his team, right? And it's not always pretty sometimes. An offensive lull the last couple of weeks, just having a hard time getting going at times. I thought we did some good things in the game, but if anybody ever questions how hard he plays, I don't think that that's the case. I mean, if you watch his film, surely, we didn't move the ball effectively at times, but I mean, he's giving it everything for his teammates. So he's young. I'm sure it's a learning moment for him, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. So I have my own questions about why they're benching him based on that. Here's Dan Orlovsky of ESPN on the decision.
It's the right decision in regards to who gives them the best chance to win right now. I think the thought, Harry, for me is, what are we winning if we're Indy? But what are our expectations? Because we're not going to beat Buffalo. We're not going to beat Kansas City. We're not beating a whole hell of Houston. We're not beating Baltimore. So to win, yes, it's the right decision. Anthony's development wasn't happening as fast as they wanted. I also think he can't develop just sitting on the bench for an extended period of time. It's not an easy situation. It's not an easy choice. It's not a perfect situation. So I get it. I don't believe it's attached to one game or one moment. So I think to win, yes. I just don't know if this is the best thing long-term for Anthony Richardson, who has not played much football since high school.
Okay. It's going to sound weird, but Dan Orlovsky is probably right on all fronts here. If you're going to bench him, you bench him because in terms of your chances to win a football game, the way Anthony Richardson is playing, Joe Flacco might give you the better chance to win, even though Flacco is 100 years old and he's not that good. That would be more about, look, Anthony Richardson's not ready to be that guy yet. But I think it is fundamentally idiotic to bench him if he pulled himself out of the game because he was tired after running around for 2 plays. As stupid as that is, like, nah. Yeah, you're not benching a guy because of that. Because if Joe Flacco didn't give you a better chance to win, then this is dumb. It is the Colts. They could do anything.
True, very true.
They could do anything. All right. The Ravens and the Panthers made a trade. Diontae Johnson goes from Carolina to Baltimore. Jeff Saturday on what Baltimore is getting.
Yeah, I like it, right? Understands the division, understands what he has to get done. I think for the Ravens, it just gives them a fallback guy, right? I don't think he's going to be, Zay Flowers is still going to be their guy. Bateman's been making some plays. You got Likely and Andrews. Aguilar made some plays for him. But if somebody happens to go down, tweaks, injuries, it's a long season. We understand that. I think they just understanding his familiarity with the division and the push the Ravens are going to have to make. They're going to have to score points. We usually talk about the Ravens of being this smothering defense that locks people down. The Ravens understand their path to the Super Bowl is going to be offensively, and that's riding Lamar Jackson and the hot hand he carries. So as many weapons as you can get him, the better off you'll be.
They do become a pretty deep team at that position. More opportunities, more things to prepare for. The Ravens are more capable of going, let's go to four wide receivers. Doesn't have to be all about Derrick Henry. So it does, and Diontae Johnson probably slots in as their number 3 receiver. So this is good. When we talked about this earlier, I simply don't understand why the Panthers got so little, why they also agreed to pay part of the salary, most of the salary remaining. I don't understand any of it when their better move would have been simply to let Diontae Johnson walk into free agency and take the compensatory pick. Of course, the way compensatory picks are doled out in the NFL, it's about net loss. How many players do you lose to free agency off your roster versus how many you bring in at a certain price point? So they might not have worked out in their favor where he directly would have equaled a 4th or a 5th round pick. But I don't like the math from Carolina's perspective. All right, we talked about whatever that doofus's name, Yankee fan.
Awesome Austin. Yeah.
Awesome Austin. So Doofus, who tried to take Mookie Betts' glove and pulled the ball out of the glove during the World Series game last night. Jessica Mendoza from ESPN on what should be the fallout.
I wouldn't say back in the building, not now, not tomorrow, not next year. Like, I just think you had an opportunity to have an amazing seat, by the way. Mookie Betts is just respect the game. It's one of the game's greatest players, and he's in your lap. That's pretty freaking cool. Like, that's why you bought those seats, not to be that guy, So if you even think, and the way he's been justifying it afterwards tells me he does not deserve to be back.
Okay. He is that guy. It's pretty clear.
He wanted to be that guy.
He is that guy.
Yes.
Because they talked about, right? If I'm not mistaken, this is like a plan. If somebody we're going to go after the ball. We're going to go after the glove. Some people just are. Now, look, I'm not going to suggest that all Yankee fans are like that. Just because Jeffrey Mayer also did this, trying to think how many years ago now. 28 years ago? No, 38 years ago. 28 years ago. Do the math for me. 1996 to 2024. 28 years ago.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. How was that so hard? So 28 years ago, Jeffrey Mayer did the same thing. He interfered with a ball that was actually in play. Not a foul ball, a ball that ended up being a home run. I wonder if the umpire at the time, who was working the right field foul line, Richie Garcia, I wonder if Richie Garcia has nightmares about allowing that home run ball. Understanding that he could have impacted who won that World Series. I wonder. Probably not. All right, when we come back, Charlotte FC has a must-win game on Friday. Manchester United, one of the all-time football clubs around the world, sacked their manager, and this is like the fifth manager that they have sacked since their legend, Sir Alex Ferguson, retired back, 10 years ago or so? It's been a nightmare for Man U fans. We'll ask her about that, but we'll talk about Charlotte FC in the playoffs. Jessica Charman next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Keep pounding. Panther Talk. Panthers Playbook. The Paw Print. Follow your Carolina Panthers all season with us.
Bryce fits it into Legette for a touchdown, and Xavier Legette does the dollar bill dance, and the Panthers quiet this crowd at Mile High.
Your home for complete Carolina Panthers coverage. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my man, Coach Pete D'Arruda, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. He is the retirement planning guru. If you want to retire and you're not sure if you can do so financially, why not get in front of Coach Pete D'Arruda and let him design a totally customized retirement plan for your needs today, your needs tomorrow, your needs in retirement. Hey, maybe you're going to live 30 years after you retire, maybe 40 years after retire, maybe 50 years after you retire. You want to make sure you've got enough to do what you want to do, right? Coach Pete D'Arruda can help. 888-843-0013, 888-843-0013 for Coach Pete D'Arruda. That totally customized retirement plan for you is free if you call today. For somebody else, it's a $1,000 value. Save yourself thousands of dollars and call Coach Pete D'Arruda today and retire on your terms, maybe tomorrow. Coach Pete D'Arruda.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's Bo time.
Young people are leaving foster care at the age of 18 with little support and few skills. The National Fund for Foster Children partners with individuals, businesses, churches, and civic groups to provide mentorship, training, and assistance to foster children. Teach a young person a new skill or help them with homework. You don't need to be a foster parent to help a foster child. To find out how you can help, go to fosterchildrenfund.org or contact us on Facebook, National Fund for Foster Children.
As Cybersecurity Awareness Month winds down, LifeLock reminds you to update your software regularly. These updates fix security flaws that could be exploited by identity thieves. But don't stop there. LifeLock offers comprehensive identity theft protection that goes the extra mile. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious use of your info, but also takes action to resolve identity theft issues, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
I had an important job, and it wasn't just a job, it was keeping my brothers and sisters safe. And coming back, it felt like kind of thrown away. If it hadn't been for Wounded Warrior Project, I honestly don't know if I would be here. It was like, I got my family back again. We all felt the connection, like that brother and sisterhood.
See how Wounded Warrior Project empowers women veterans like Donna by visiting woundedwarriorproject.org/empowerwomenvets.
This is Adam Gold.
Dan on Twitter, who you got? Robert Plant or Elvis Presley? That is actually very difficult because I don't want to disrespect Elvis Presley. I think it's Elvis. It's very, very close. And that is an incredible question.
The Adam Gold Show.
Jessica Charman is Jess Talks Footy on Twitter, the analyst for Charlotte FC. They are in the playoffs. They will go back onto the pitch on Friday, trying to even their series with Orlando City. We're also going to talk about Manchester United and their follies. And, of course, a perfect match for them after the firing of Eric Ten Hag is that they will get the other formerly dysfunctional side in Chelsea this weekend. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's get to what's going to happen Friday as Charlotte FC will host Orlando City. Now, this is not aggregate, right? They lost 2-0 in the first match. This is not aggregate. It's just it's a game. You got to win to force a game 3, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what's nice about this playoff format. Obviously, I know there's some people that have questions about it. I had some questions initially about potentially playing the same opponent 3 times, but what I do like is this clean slate that you have playing at home. It doesn't matter that you lost 2-0. You start at 0-0 in this game, and you know that you control your own destiny. As long as you're able to win either in the regular 90 minutes or, if it comes to it, on a penalty shootout. By the way, we've got the goalkeeper of the year, hopefully in goal for us, which is a huge advantage in those scenarios. Then you force it to a game 3 in Orlando. That one would take place on the next Saturday. So, you know, anything can happen, but I think there's a real pointer of controlling your own destiny and also the home field advantage. You've been to Bank of America Stadium, how amazing it is to play at home in that building.
Yes, and I know they're expecting an enormous crowd. How have crowds generally been? They're opening up the upper bowl for this, right?
Yeah, they are, and I think tickets start at $20. Obviously, there's the fees that go on top of it, but let's say $20 and a little bit of change, which is an amazing price for a playoff game that means so much. First time this city has hosted a playoff game since 2016, so they don't always come around too often, so a special moment if anyone does want to get in the building still on Friday. Crowds have been brilliant. I believe we've averaged second top in the entire MLS for attendances. Atlanta United, the only team that has shaded us, and a lot of that is because they open up a deck nearly every single game versus we kind of select and pick. But I mean, I just love being there on home. It makes me feel like I'm back, in England growing up with the atmosphere, the singing. But I'll tell you, and I've attended a lot of soccer, football games in my life, there's something really special about the party atmosphere in Charlotte on a game day. And I've been so grateful to have witnessed, every home game in club history. It's quite a special thing that I get to boast about at times.
Jessica Charman is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I think part of that is because there's not a lot of excitement for Panthers games.
Listen, don't get me in trouble here, right? Because I believe my ownership group is the same of both. But I am trying to get into American football.
No, it's fine.
And what I'm hearing is I might be watching and consuming perhaps the wrong games to be getting thrilled about.
Yeah.
Would that be good advice?
That would be outstanding advice. It's funny. I talked to a fair amount of the correspondents from The Athletic, and for some reason they're all Jets fans, and I just can't fathom. I can't fathom being like pirating in. If I was going to draw the analogy, it would be like an American deciding that they loved, Stoke.
But this is the thing, right? The craziest thing is, I never knew there would be so many Leicester City fans, but because, how Americans say it sometimes, Leicester, which
right.
my heart hurts when that happens. But because sometimes when there's a Cinderella story like that, all of a sudden there's fans. I mean, who ever thought there would be Wrexham fans in the middle of the Carolinas? None of this is expected. So it's amazing that, these storylines of how teams get popular in the most random of places.
Well, you and I, Jessica Charman is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. You and I can have a conversation about why I believe so many people and myself included, have become huge Wrexham fans.
Oh, don't do it.
No, we'll have a conversation another time because I could go on forever as to why, the humanity of it is, to me, I am a romantic sports fan at heart, and I think there is a connection. All right, I don't want to get out because I can get lost in that conversation.
I just got to preface it. I have envy because my team is still searching for an ownership group. So I'm just hating because I'm jealous. That is all. You're allowed to enjoy. I like the documentary. There we go. We'll end on that.
Exactly. All right, let's. What is the challenge of Orlando City? I know that during the regular year, they weren't awesome, but who is it that is back in the lineup that they cannot lose apparently when this guy plays? And I think he had a goal and an assist in the 2-0 win.
Yeah, you're talking about Facundo Torres, who's been amazing, leads the team in goals on the year, also brings in some assists, is a genuine playmaker. I say he walks on water. He's just so graceful with the way that he moves the ball. And it's funny because this year Charlotte did a really good job of handling the majority of the teams we faced talisman. Think FC Cincinnati and Lucho Acosta. Think Columbus Crew and Cucho Hernandez. None of these players really became stars in the matches we faced each other. Unfortunately, Facundo Torres has been able to elude that strong defensive play of Charlotte. I think the biggest issue right now in general with this Orlando City side is they've been able to find ways to break down our defense in every game we played against them. We have conceded 2 goals in each of the games that we faced them in, which is something that Charlotte, who had the best defensive record in the entire East, didn't have on many teams. Not many teams were able to break us down consistently. They've been able to do that. That has to change at Bank of America Stadium because we can't be conceding 2 goals and just hoping that somehow our forward line scores 3.
Yeah, there's no question. That is for Dean Smith and his staff to figure out. Hopefully it'll work out Friday. It's kind of amazing that there's another 8 days before the following match, but that's a lot of time for a lot of the other sides to be off. All right, let me get to the other issue for soccer fans. My son is a man. Both of my kids are Man U fans. And finally, the exhale as Eric Ten Hag was sacked after, strangely enough, a pretty good performance, albeit in a loss against West Ham. They probably should have won that match several times over. But I know they're going to sign. They're going to end up getting Ruben Amorim from Sporting in Sporting Lisbon in the Portuguese league. But what do you when you look at Manchester United? Was it interpersonal? Was it tactical? Why did it not work so badly with Ten Hag?
If I'm honest, I think Manchester United is a bit of a toxic cesspit, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's the truth. It's very sad. There's been a fall from grace for Manchester United. Like, growing up, that was the team that everybody supported. Kind of like, think into Miami in America right now and how everyone gravitates towards them. You see pink shirts everywhere. Even though I grew up in London, it was Manchester United, the Red Devils. Everybody loved them because they were the team, whether it was David Beckham, Sir Alex Ferguson, Ruud van Nistelrooy. I mean, so many legends on that team. And I think when Sir Alex left, it was always going to be, everyone always talked about, well, whoever comes in has big shoes to fill. Being the manager is going to take a long time. You've got to rebuild a culture. Well, I don't think they've ever been able to get it right since Sir Alex. And it becomes this spiraling out of control moment where new, leadership teams come in and they want to put their foot down and change it right away. And that's not going to happen when things have been wrong for such a long time. So I think Erik ten Hag had some good things about him. He obviously won trophies, but it just wasn't a good fit. And I think when you're a team that has such an incredible reputation, a storied history, you can't be in 14th spot in nearly November in the Premier League. You just cannot. It's unforgivable. And at the end of the day, in a results-driven business, you can win a cup. You can't get back from the Premier League standings right now. So it's the right time. Would I want this job, though? No. I think that this has to be – it's funny because obviously the pay makes it desirable. The status makes it desirable. But not many managers want to touch that job with a barge pole because of how worrying it is that you might be the next one on the list of failed successors for Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, the thing is, they've spent so much money. I mean, Chelsea has spent more money. I actually think Chelsea's getting it right. Enzo Maresca has been dynamite for them. I think he has settled them down.
It's about getting it right now, let's be honest, though.
No, it's taken a while. It's taken a while, but I think Maresca has kind of settled things down, and I think he's settled on a core of players, even though they have a bunch of other players that do nothing. But I just don't know how you settle United down because so many of their, big money players are playing so poorly. Marcus Rashford is 2 years removed from, a 24-goal season, and he looks completely broken the last couple of years. They're getting nothing out of their best players. They just brought in, 2 center backs, and neither of them are, Matthias de Ligt's not even in the team. Not even in the starting line. They paid so much money for they just look completely dysfunctional as an outfit.
Yeah, and I think that's why if you're at Ten Hag, you feel pretty disappointed. Like, all these players can hop on their social media platforms. They can stay on Instagram. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for everything, Gaffer. Well, if you really cared that much about him, you'd have played your heart out on the field. And I think that a lot of these big-name players getting big paychecks with big experience didn't perform. And obviously the manager takes some blame. You've got to be able to rally up your troops. But if you're a superstar, you've got to be earning your money. And I think sometimes in this modern era, you see people that are more into being a personality, a superstar, having, all the bright lights on them than they are actually enjoying the beautiful game that they get a chance to play for a living.
All right, final thing for you, Jessica Charman. Tell me your schedule over the next several days because I know you got the game Friday, and I know you have a lot of other matches to do.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm flying to Miami tomorrow morning, so I have a Halloween game on Peacock tomorrow in USL Super League. That's a new women's professional Tier 1 league. Then I'll fly to Charlotte to do the Charlotte FC game. Then I'll fly back to Miami to do a USL Super League, a USL Championship playoff game. Sunday I'll do another USL Super League game, and then I'll fly back somehow, some way to Atlanta. So getting my air miles in, and what is that, 5 games in 3 days?
That is fun. That's a lot. Well, that's because you're good at your job. I appreciate your time. At Jess Talks Footy on Twitter, Jessica Charman, Charlotte FC analyst. I'll talk to Will, but if I don't, tell him I said hi, and I will talk to you soon.
And hopefully we get something good to talk about the next time we get to chat. Let's go, Charlotte.
You got it. I hope they can beat Orlando City on Friday, so at least they get another match out of it. But I actually caught a fair bit of that match the other day. I think it was it free on? I think the playoffs were free on Apple. Anyway, the Orlando City looked awfully good. They did. They looked awfully good. All right. When we come back, I'm going to dig back into the Panthers situation coming with the trade deadline about a week away, and a little bit about the Canes. You will not believe what the analytics tell us about the Carolina Hurricanes, and we'll rewind next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket, it's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we are diving into a topic that is important to so many of us, the health insurance open enrollment period. In our latest episode, produced in partnership with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, we speak with Megan Brohl, a consultant with the Marsh McLennan Agency, an NCHA partner providing business employee health and benefits, and a graduate of Coastal Carolina University. She explains some of the things to consider when opting in for insurance coverage.
Really looking at the information, comparing the plans, not just the premiums, but what's the coverage, and making that best decision for you, your family, what's going to be best in the future if you have things that are coming up, and really considering all factors when you're looking at your coverage.
You can learn more and join our latest conversation on the state of healthcare wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Did you know? Atlantic hurricane season runs through November. From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
NC Medicaid is for people just like me.
Adults who don't have children.
People who serve.
People who do the heavy lifting.
Child care teachers. Full healthcare coverage at low or no cost.
Doctor's visits, emergency rooms, and prescriptions.
So if you applied before and didn't get it, apply again.
NC Medicaid covers more people than ever before.
Get full healthcare coverage at low cost, no monthly fees, and $4 max copays. NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Psst. Hello there. It's me, your internal clock. Yes, the one you sleep through on weekends. You've probably heard my TikToks, but I'm straight up sounding the bell now. It's almost time to start applying for college. That means you got transcripts to gather, letters of rec to request, and campus tours to schedule. But hey, we've got time, and we've got CFNC. CFNC.org can help us plan, apply, and pay for college. We got this, trust me. Just visit CFNC.org to help us stay on time.
The 2024 elections are just around the corner, and older voters are the nation's most active. The AARP North Carolina Voters Guide has information about upcoming election dates, registration deadlines, and voting options in North Carolina, such as voting by mail, early voting, or voting with a disability. Find the guide in the voters section at aarp.org/NC and listen each week to AARP Without Limits for important election news and much more. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? You know, when someone smiles at you, and right away you feel better. So why not pass on that smile to the next person? And then the next person passes it on to another. Winning friends one smile at a time. It's easy to do. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
We don't need Al Roker in a suit doing yoga.
No.
And Al, to his credit, recognized that and said, you know what? I am not getting into Warrior 2.
I'm stopping at Downward Dog.
There will be no, he didn't get to that. Like, heck no.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. World Series Game 5 tonight. Freddie Freeman can, I don't know that it's ever happened before. Could be, I'm guessing that it's never happened before. First player ever to hit home runs in 5 straight World Series games. Maybe it's overlapped from one World Series to the next. I don't know. Can't imagine anybody's ever hit home runs in 5 consecutive World Series games in the same series. So that'll be tonight. Garrett Cole will go against Jack Flaherty for the Dodgers. Yankees, to me, not only do you obviously need to win, but I don't think it's a game where you can slug your way and have the same impact that Garrett Cole shutting down the Dodgers lineup would have. I think that's the way the Yankees need to win. It needs to be a Garrett Cole experience. You need Cole to pitch well, and you need Aaron Judge to get going. The other part of that is that, at least the story, is that the 2 fans who tried to take Mookie Betts' arm, who, after he caught a foul ball for an out in the early innings, they have been banned from tonight's game.
They have.
They cannot go to tonight's game in any capacity at all. And here's what I would just suggest, that there should be super sleuths around the stadium, because I just would not put it past the Yankees if those 2 guys ended up in a suite. I just wouldn't.
It's gross.
Only because, and I realize 1996 and 2024 are 28 years apart. But they treated Jeffrey Mayer like he was a freaking hero. And because I wanted to refresh my memory on this here, I just watched the video from Mayer's reaching over the outfield wall to catch a ball that was going to be caught by Baltimore outfielder Tony Tarasco. It came off of Armando Benitez in the 1996 World Series, and Tarasco was livid. Richie Garcia, the umpire, was actually in great position to make the right call and didn't. Replay today would have had that overturned into an out. Would have had it overturned into an out. So, but we didn't have replay then. It's a relatively new, it's not a brand new development, but it's relatively new in the grand scheme of things. But replay would have overturned that. It's shocking that you could be in such good position. And to me, that's something that Garcia should have been commended about, because the baseline umpires in a World Series game, they're not all the way down by the outfield wall. So you have to hustle to get in position to blow that call.
Right.
And Richie Garcia was in position to get the call wrong.
Yeah.
But he did. He got it wrong.
This awesome Austin guy that we're talking about, who's banned, he was interviewed, and he did say he knew he would get in trouble, but chose to grab an open Betts glove nonetheless.
Yeah, here's the thing. It would be one thing if you're trying to catch the foul ball.
Sure.
Which I have zero problem with.
No.
But after Betts caught the ball,
right,
he grabs Betts' glove with both hands.
Right.
And I can't, is he trying to rip the glove off?
It looked like he was trying to rip the ball out of the glove.
I would argue he's trying to do both.
Right.
Once you don't have it, are you a grown-up?
Yeah. Like, seriously.
The answer is, of course, no.
He's probably the guy that would like take it out of a kid's hand too.
So,
because
yeah,
that is on the same level.
No question about that.
Yeah.
Capobianco said, "We're hoping for a short-term ban. We don't want to lose the season tickets."
Mm-hmm.
They won't lose them.
They won't.
It's the Yankees. Yeah. All right, one more thing before we actually going to use this as we flow into a rewind. So, well, let me do the Canes first real quick. So I know it's going to sound crazy to a lot of people. I said before the season, while the Hurricanes are not, to me, bona fide Stanley Cup contenders. Now, everybody that gets in is a contender. It's the nature of the sport. But where I feel like the Hurricanes fall short in a couple of areas, I think it'll be very difficult for them to make that up, but we haven't seen what they might do during the trade deadline, yada, yada, who develops, who emerges. But I don't think the Hurricanes are bona fide Stanley Cup contenders. But I've always said, oh yeah, they're a playoff team. I think they're a top 3 team in the division. Devils probably have the best roster. Rangers have the best goalie. The Dom Luszczyszyn, who writes for The Athletic, who handles, basically all of their analytics for hockey, the projection is that the Hurricanes will have the best record in the NHL. It's kind of funny. He's got them at just over 108 points on the season. It's got the Rangers second in the Metropolitan Division at just north of 103 points. It is funny how people's perception of the roster differs from what the data guys see. With that said, I don't think the Hurricanes are going to get close to 108 points. I think they'll be in the 102, 103 range. But the way they play and the way they have started the season, last year at this time, the Hurricanes were searching for their game. They were winning okay. It wasn't great, but they were kind of searching for their game. They weren't getting great goaltending. They weren't playing their style. In front of Freddie Anderson has played great. Kochetkov, 2 of his 4 games have been I didn't like the game against St. Louis, and this game Monday night against Vancouver was all over the place. He was an EKG machine, which I've been complimented on Twitter for that analogy because it's all over. It's up and down. Like, the second period Kochetkov played was awesome. The first period, not really good. The third period was kind of a mixed bag. Some of it was great, but the 2 goals he allowed were terrible. So, they got to get better goaltending from Kochetkov specifically, and they're going to have to find one more, and maybe it'll be somebody who emerges. Is Jack Roslovic going to be a guy who's going to be in the 30-goal range? He's had 1 20-goal season in his career. He's not going to be a 30-goal guy. Is Jackson Blake going to be somebody who's going to be between 25 and 30? Yeah, I don't think so. I think more likely Jackson Blake's in a 15-goal guy. Going to have to find one more player who can pump in a goal during the postseason. One more guy. And hope, of course, that Aho, Jarvis, Svechnikov, Necas do that. But the bones of a great team are absolutely there. All right, rewind time. All right, so the Panthers traded Diontae Johnson. They traded him to Baltimore. And the trade is such in that Johnson got them a 5th-round pick, but they had to throw in a 6th-round pick to get the 5th-round pick. They're paying part of his salary, like more than half of his remaining salary is being covered by the Panthers. And all they really did with Baltimore was pick up about 15 spots from the first of the top of the 6th round to the back of the 5th round. They picked him about 15 spots. All of that for that? Did that make any sense to you, Chris Lee, Panthers Playbook podcast guy?
Honestly, I had to sit on this a little bit. The first 24 hours for this, it was a head scratcher for me. But as I kept thinking about it, I'm actually okay with this, just mainly because, in the times I've been in the Panthers locker room and the small things I've noticed on the field,
right.
Diontae Johnson has brought Diontae Johnson with him from Pittsburgh, right? He's had a bad attitude. He's had some small, slight outbursts, and you have a nice core of young receivers right now, Jatavian Sanders, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, that you want to make sure kind of gets their career started off in the right way. And you don't want somebody around that's going to kind of keep them or have them, kind of start off on the wrong foot. And so, no, you didn't get a lot back from them. The money that you're paying is only for the rest of this season.
Right.
But other than that, I think it probably was something that they needed to do. And no, it wasn't a lot back. But if you look at what they did to get Diontae Johnson by trading away Diontae Jackson to Pittsburgh, you kind of have to look at it like, okay, this is what we have for Diontae Jackson now. So we're still able to have a chance to have a pick that for somebody who can potentially stay on our roster for a little bit longer in exchange for Diontae Jackson, who left at the end of last year because of a trade. So I'm okay with it now that I've slept on it.
I'm going to have to do that. That adding the Diontae Jackson part into it, I think makes it worse. I'm not sure. But Chris Lee, WRAL TV5, again, Panthers Playbook podcast co-host along with Dennis Cox. You've seen this team. You've been closer to this team than I have. Was he a problem?
Yeah, and, it wasn't as bad as it was in Pittsburgh. Some of the things that we had seen or heard from him in Pittsburgh, I don't think he was there long enough for that, and I think he kind of knew. But when you're starting to answer questions like, I can't play all 11 positions and make plays all over the field, I'm just one guy, you're slightly throwing people under the bus, right? And I can totally see a situation where if you have somebody who's just not a part of the program, just go ahead and just wash your hands clean of it. We've got something back, and we're going to start anew. At least we have something from it. And I have to look closer into this, but I just read something right before you guys called me that the compensatory pick for him wasn't guaranteed. So I have to go a little bit further digging into that.
Yeah, my understanding is that compensatory picks are their net. So, and maybe the Panthers wouldn't get any because they might be in a position to sign more unrestricted free agents than they were to lose. I mean, if you think about it, how many players on their roster are going to be attractive as unrestricted free agents? I don't know I'm not joking. I don't know the answer to that. So how many veteran players off of their roster do they move on from that get signed elsewhere? Coming off an injury, does Shaq Thompson get signed elsewhere? Because I think this is probably the last year for him here. So I believe that's the way it works. Depending on how many free agents you lose versus how many free agents you sign, that's where we get to compensatory picks. I don't know. But on the surface, before we get to that point, the Panthers would have been better off just keeping Diontae Johnson and taking the 5th round pick or the 4th round pick, depending on what he signed. If he signs a contract similar to Gabe Davis with Houston, former Buffalo Bills wide receiver, if he signs that kind of a contract, it was $13 million. The Panthers would have got a 4th round pick. Now, 4th round pick is a whole lot different than a late 5th.
Sure is.
Right? So that's where I would have been more inclined to be if Diontae Johnson was that kind of a receiver. I don't know the answer to any of that. All right, one more thing. Chip Patterson joined us as he does every Wednesday. CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. Because I've been thinking about this, and I've seen it talked about. Is it possible that a team could be ranked number 1 going into the final weekend of the season, meaning conference championship weekend, but not play in a conference championship game?
There is a possibility, yes. There is a
amazing.
Look, there's a possibility, depending on like 5 or 6 games, that Miami could be 12-0 and not playing for the ACC championship.
Right. Well, just looking at it, it would be really, really difficult for that to happen, I think.
You think?
Just based on SMU's remaining schedule. But you're right. I was actually thinking more about Georgia.
The fact that if Georgia wins out, they do not control their own destiny, that is true.
So,
that there are scenarios where Texas A&M, like Georgia needs Alabama to beat LSU right now. And Georgia fans are beside themselves thinking that they have to root for Alabama for anything. So, I mean, it's messy everywhere, you know.
It is.
I just mentioned some of the ACC scenarios. There's SEC scenarios that'll absolutely like blow your brains, and that's not even considering what's ahead, even in the Big 12, where the number of contenders is even larger. So, yeah, it's there's Clemson being left out scenarios.
Yes.
So here's what I did. I actually have Clemson currently opponent win percentage is 16-21.
Yep.
Best case projection is 32-32. Miami's current opponents winning record, the win record of their opponents are 16-22.
Yep.
But Miami's best case projection is actually 30-34. Miami doesn't play Pitt, which means that as long as Pitt continues to win, those games are going to be able to help them out. But then this is what was a little bit of a surprise. SMU currently at 13-24, that is third among those teams. The best case projection, and remember, best case projection we can actually figure out, because if teams that are on your schedule play each other, that's just a 1 and a win and a 1 and a loss.
Right.
So SMU needs Florida State to beat North Carolina. SMU needs Louisville to beat Stanford. SMU needs Stanford over NC State, Cal over Wake Forest, Duke over NC State, Boston College over Syracuse. It is not college football to root for your foes, and that's where the ACC is, as we have devolved into the 5th tiebreaker in a league that is bloated beyond belief without divisions.
We have 17 teams in the ACC. And SMU, Miami, and Clemson don't play each other. So it is possible that all three, and they are all undefeated in league play, all three could finish 8-0. I think it's if SMU gets past their game with Pitt and it's in Dallas, then here's what SMU has left. Boston College at home. BC right now is 1-3 in conference play. They are on the road at Virginia. That could be tricky. The Cavaliers are 2-3. And they end the season at home to Cal. And right now, Cal is 0-4. The problem with SMU being one of the 3-8-0 teams is that based on current records, they're going to have the third best strength of schedule, if you will, because that's really what it is. They're going to have the third best. Clemson's is probably going to be the best. Clemson, who has, I think, three conference games left, play 3-win Louisville, 3-win Virginia Tech, and 3-win Pitt. All currently 3 wins in conference play. Miami's got 4 games left. Miami's got Duke at 2-2, Georgia Tech, who's 3-3 right now, Wake Forest is 2-2, Syracuse is 2-2. It's going to be pretty close, but it does look like those two teams will likely be numbers 1 and 2 in some way, shape, or form, and that even at 8-0 in the league, it looks like SMU won't be able to make the conference championship game. Well, and that's okay because SMU probably isn't as good as those other two teams, but maybe 11-1 SMU can still backdoor. I know they're talking about it right now on ESPN. How is the committee going to view the ACC? We have started that. We're not talking about the Big 12 that way, but we have started that already. Victoria, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll see everybody tomorrow on the Adam Gold Show.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It is the midweek blahs getting you down. You're over the weekend, and the next weekend's too far away. Well,